All right, sure. Okay, let us pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we give you glory. We give you praise. We thank you for your mercies and we thank you for your grace. We thank you for the opportunity for Santa Clausians around the world to gather again this morning to discuss the welfare of our school and also to celebrate our lives together. We are grateful for this opportunity. Not many have had this opportunity to be alive today to even witness the opportunity of hosting a meeting via Zoom technology. So we are not taking this for granted at all, God. We want you to know that we appreciate the opportunity. And we thank you for the lives of every Santa Clausian on the planet. We pray, oh God, that today, even as we are about to start our meeting, you will guide us, you will help us to make the rightful decisions. In case our tempers rise up, we pray, oh God, that you will help us calm our tempers because the overall agenda is for the good of the school. And so we pray you will help us to work as a team, collaborate as a team to achieve a common goal. We thank you for others who are driving, but yet they are taking the risk to even be on the line because of the love for the school. We pray that you will guide them and protect them and watch them even as they drive. We also pray for those who are to join, that Lord, they may not have technological challenges, but they will be able to join so that we will all do this work to the glory of your name. We thank you for the leadership, Sina Aaron, Sina Kofi, Sina Make, and the rest of the leadership team. That God, you will continue to strengthen them, give them energy to do this work to the glory of your name. We thank you also for our seniors, the 60s and the 70s who are with us. That God, you will keep them alive to see many of these in Jesus' mighty name. We thank you and give you glory in Jesus' name. And all shall say amen.
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 Yeah.
Bro, if we had asked for a long one, I don't know what would have happened. So I think, so before I hand it over to Aaron, I also want to follow Senior KS lead and say a healthy welcome to Senior Randolph Perby and Senior Gazy, and also I see Senior Ernest on there for taking their time to join us. Aaron, at this point, we're going to hand it over to you for you to start.
Yep, so I think Kofi will kick us off. By the way, do you all see the PowerPoint presentation? Is it coming through?
Yes.
Okay, so Kofi, why don't you, but morning everybody, Kofi, why don't you? Kofi, are you on mute?
I was. Good morning, fellow Santa Clausians, and as has already been stated, we want to recognize our elders, Miss Daisy and
Kofi.
Yeah, good morning, fellow Santa Clausians, and as already been stated, we want to recognize our elders, seniors, Daisy and Perby, as well as all the other seniors on the call with us today. On behalf of the AOBA North America Executive Team and the Memorial Day Weekend Planning Team, I want to welcome all of you to this year's Congress. The fact that we are holding this year's Congress virtually goes to tell the unusual times we face globally due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But as Santa Clausians, we do what we must despite. So we are here to once again discuss matters dear to our association and that to a larger extent affect our great alma mater Abisko. Thank you all for making time this morning to join. Let's begin. Aaron, I toss it over to you.
Good, Kofi, thank you. And again, I think just a big welcome to everybody. Yesterday, I know some of you were not able to join, but we had a really good group that joined last night. Happy hour was really happy hour. To actually see so many of us together, and you know, I think there was a very strong suggestion that we keep those types of happy hour events going. So we will try to make sure that we have them periodically. But we have a pretty packed agenda, so why don't we dive into it? And hopefully, initially we had told you this was going to be a 2-hour event. As you can see from the agenda, it's actually going to run about 30 minutes over, but we'll try our best to stay on schedule. So at this point, we're actually about 5 minutes ahead, so we will get started. Mr. Atu Davies, are you on the call? Mr. Atu Davies, are you on? Okay, actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we move to the year group fraternal greetings? So, Pro or Ed, would one of you lead us through the greetings, and then hopefully Mr. Davies will be on when we get going after that.
Okay. I will assign that to Ed to do that on our behalf.
Hello, everybody. This is Santa 96 representing. It's our year to host the speed day. And I can see Pro on there, Santa 96. I also see Francis Abedi. Can you give us a wave when I mention your name so everybody can see you? Francis Abedi.
Hey, Ed, can I interrupt you 1 minute? Pro, it seems like there's people waiting in the lobby. Can you please check? And
no, I've added all of them.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Ed, sorry, back to you.
Yeah, so it's our year to host the speed day. I was on the ground this year to take over the baton from Santa 95. As a matter of welcome, I want to welcome Pro. So give us a wave, Pro, so everybody can know who you are. Samuel Jacobs Abe, myself, Edward Ituahene. I'm the treasurer for the year group. Pro is our president. I also see our secretary, Francis Abedi. Give us a wave. And then Nanajima Owusu Secretary. I saw him earlier on. Is he on there? Give us a wave. And then we're also pleased to announce that our global president is also on. Joseph Hackman. Give us a wave, Joseph Hackman. All right. So this is Santa 96. There's more to come from us. We have a lot to talk about within our internal circles, and then we'll be reaching out to some of you guys to give us some ideas as to how we can host our speed day. I know we've been assigned to 1976 year group, 1986, 1996, and 2006. So there's more to come from that side. Thank you all for having us today, and we'll follow you guys to give us ideas as to how we can raise funds and go about our speed day. All right, is there anything else we need to do, Aaron, from this?
No, I think the poll came up, so it would be good for people to specify what year group, what year range they're in.
In terms of the agenda, what else do you want us to talk about from Santa 96?
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
We'll come back to that when you talk about your year group project. So
sure.
Aaron, did you say the poll was up?
Yes, it's up.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can see the poll, we'd like you to just, I think we've got some ranges for year groups. It would be good to just specify your year group and submit. Mr. Atu Davies, are you on yet?
Aaron, this is Joseph Thompson. Just remember that some of us are on the phone only, so we will not be able to respond to the polls. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we starting the polls from the top, from the bottom? How are we going about that?
No, just check what, just look for your year group. It'll be in one of the ranges. Just select that one and hit submit.
Got you.
Actually, I was able to submit over my phone. I was able to take the poll and submit via my phone, so it's possible.
No,
But that's if you have the video. If you have the video. If you don't have the video, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Aaron,
Okay.
in the absence of Atu Davis, can we just move on to the next item, or if
Yes,
others
I was waiting for
can
the poll results to come through.
I can't return to the poll.
Mr. I was just waiting for the poll results to come through.
Okay.
Okay, there it is.
Okay. Well, big kudos and welcome to the 60s year groups that are represented. It's interesting that our highest group is the 91 to 95. So that's good to see that the new generation, the next generation is more than half of the group here today, which is great. Well, again, big welcome to all of you. So Mr. Atu Davis is the assistant headmaster on campus, and he will be joining to give us an update from the school. But let's move on, and as soon as we get on, we will come back to it. So is the Santa 95 year group ready to give us an update on this past speech day? Hello?
Hello, Senior, we do have a president on there. So if 1995 is not ready, maybe our president can give you an update on it.
Okay, why don't we do the 96 update and then we can come back to 95.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, seniors and fellow mates. Santa 96 have chosen our project. We went through a couple of projects, as it always happens. There were a couple of them that we discussed and we voted on it, and also based on the importance for the school. We have chosen the Canterbury Hall, and basically what we are doing is that we are facelifting it into an ultra-modern e-learning center and also a school museum. Now, and I'll just take a brief moment to discuss or to elaborate why we've chosen our project. Where a couple of visits that we took from the school realized that the school needed space, one, for classrooms, and two, they even tried converting some of the, if we take the block beneath, next to the Canterbury Hall, they tried converting it into a dormitory. I mean, NEC came in and tried to stop it. We went to Canterbury and realized that the use of that hall is now obsolete because basically it can take a maximum capacity if fully packed or between 500 to 600 people. They can't hold speech days in there, neither can they hold assemblies in there and nothing else. But we also noticed that in some of the classes, they had to combine because like the science classes, they had to combine, like the arts classes. Now there are more, if you take literature, there are several classes in there. So there are various classes that they were combining. So we did an analysis and realized that, look, if we're able to put this place into an e-learning center, basically what we are doing in there, we cannot touch the structure, but we are getting in there to renovate every single thing that has come up. Some of the roofing is in a bad state, the ceiling is in a bad state, the podium is in a bad state, is squeaking and talking. The flanks on the podium is also all gone, the school emblem is down, the prefect's board on the wall is all gone, it hasn't been updated for years. I was a deputy head prefect in 96, and I tell you, even before, from 94, there was no updates being done. So there's basically no history in the school. So for example, if any of us decide to go back to Ghana and take our kids and want to go and show the history of the school to any of our kids, we get into Canterbury Hall, it's literally empty. You find students loitering about, the place was in a mess. In one of those visits, we actually had to organize the guys to come and clean the place. There was an eyesore even getting in there. So we decided that we're going to upgrade the place. First of all, we are putting in a large projector in there. We're fixing air conditions in there. We're taking off all the lever blades are gone and the frames are all spoiled. So we are replacing all the lever blades, the lever blades and the frames with a secured netting at the back. We're changing the ceilings that have gone off. We're taking off the podium and redoing it. The flanks are also going to be redone with dry walls. And basically what we're going to do with the flanks is that we are going to create cabinets in there where the various memorabilia, like the cups we've won, like the Fisher prizes, like all the awards that most of our seniors won for the school, all those great laurels can be displayed in there, and it's under lock and key. The doors are gone, we are replacing it. We are also trying to purchase chairs for it to be used in the hall. The prefix board, we are changing them to LED screens now, so that it's going to be electronic. So it's not basically the visual arts master having to use a paint and a brush like we do usually for that. So we are having 5 screens in there. One is going to take care of the head deputy protocol and chapel and dining. We have one for all the house prefects because we're going to have the house prefect is a lot. We also have one, the house prefect, they also have one for dispensary, library, and the other prefect that are left. We have one screen also for headmasters and senior housemasters that have gone through the school. And then also there's one that we have a historian among us. His name is Kweku Dakwot Ankra. We're trying to compile the history of the school, the meaning of the school colors, what it means with the black and white, what a white man can do, a black man can do, what a black man can do, a white man can do. Why our 3 babies? Why is somewhere called Aprodeville? Why do we have Katanga? Students now don't even know that various houses were named after bishops who, through their own toil and effort and with the effort of the students, built those houses. The history is being lost. For most of them, Adisadal is just a school and the radicalism and the Jama, and everyone knows us for that. But they also have to inculcate in them, because some of us, when we went to the school, it was a very good opportunity for a senior to ask you what is the third line in the second stanza of the school. We were up to date. We were supposed to learn. We had to have it in us. We have to have these things in us, and it has helped us a lot. It has helped us, but the kids are losing out on the history of the school. They are not getting any further training in it than just they come through, and their time there is even short for them to have that education. So we decided to put all that together. But the most important part is that I gave an example, and I always give this example. I use the science students, not because I'm prioritizing, but if you went to a science class and we're able to go on YouTube for the teacher to show us what a spirogyra, amoeba, or any of those things even mean or look like on the screen, it will have stuck with us in our brain much more better than for us just being told and us using our imaginary eyes and world to imagine what they are. If any of the literature students who are studying Macbeth, Julius Caesar, could just watch a clip on YouTube in general as a class, have a discussion on it, have the various points and views, which angles people are looking at and coming from. If the business class can on one Saturday morning, just like we're having this Zoom call, have any of us Santa Clausians who are accomplished in the business field or economics or government or whatever, give them a 1 hour or 30 lecture, a 30 minutes lecture. I think it's going to bring a much more understanding and a much more practicality of the subject that they are studying. And basically that's what is missing. They are not having anything practical. It's just all reading and read verbatim, go and produce it. And that is how our education system has been, and it hasn't helped. So now the hall right now basically can seat probably all the 4 science classes for a physics class, a chemistry class, a biology class, a math class, economics, business. Then we can put that hall into use. When the hall is done, they all exit peacefully, they clean the place, it's locked and the key. Secondly, also, it put pressure on the teachers that they now have to do presentations on their laptop, which we are providing. So you bring your pen drive, you need to prepare something for them to study. The kids already have phones. Why don't we then direct them into ways that they will use it effectively? With this new system, Form 1, basically for my information, you spend 84 days in Form 1, then you're in Form 2. Because you do 41 days on campus, you need to go and do another some time at home and come and do another 40 days. And then you're going to Form 2. If they've got this system where they can log on, which is going to be the first, it's not only the first, but it's going to help. And the kids can actually log on and present assignment just like we are all doing right here, with our kids being at home, still being given studies, still going through their regular time in this COVID era. We thought it wise that this was going to help. So that is basically the idea and the rationale behind it. And our vision has been that most year groups are putting up new structures. The difficulty is that the estimation that is being done based on the contributions we are getting always is leaving half of the structures virtually not completed. So we have so many uncompleted things. But our school just says, others have labored, we share their glory. Ours is to do art. And the emphasis is art. It's not outdo, it's not outperform, it's not outrace. It's just for us to add. So if you are not maintaining existing structures in the school now, what is the point putting up new structures? Then we have a lot of new structures sitting there uncompleted for people who cannot use. Basically, also, we are looking at the purse and the wallets. We intend after school want to do something for the school, but we have to also look at our pockets and look at something that is within our range. Analysis that we've done basically have shown that over the past 5 to 10 years, external contributions from old boys towards year groups project has been less than 5%. Maximum is 5%. And it's the fact, because if you're an old boy, you can imagine if we finish your speech day and almost every year group people are coming to you year in, year out to look for money to go and do projects in the school. Come on, yes, we are Santa Clausians. We have families, we have responsibilities. The school is part of it. But we cannot keep on milking, not milking, but asking these people over and over again. So we should be able to take projects that is within our budgets, that is within our pockets. We push it, the little that we can get from the old boys and sponsorship, we add on to it. So basically that's what went into us choosing the project. The total sum of our project is 250,000 Ghana cedis to do this work. Now, we've started our contributions. Let's say we are almost close to 100,000 Ghana cedis, so we are pushing harder for us to get it. We've done our cycle in the sense that we're going to start the job basically by August. We'll purchase all electronics and things that we need to get. So by September, most of the jobs is going to start. Because it's an election year, we are not doing any work in December. Right after December, between January and February, we should be complete. But it's not only the Canterbury Hall that we are doing. After the Canterbury Hall, we are also renovating the classrooms underneath the Canterbury Hall, because we can't just do the top and leave it, because we are painting the whole block. We are changing some of after changing the windows, what we get up there, we'll bring downstairs to replace the old ones. We are putting ceiling fans down there. So it's quite an elaborate one, which I can go through it point after this. We've already done a paper on why the need and importance for this. After this meeting, the president of the 96 is Jacob Sabe. He's here. He has the document. Probably we'll float it on with your permission, we'll float it on the American Old Boys Association for people to read, and also we'll take inputs. That's what we are doing. We are always listening. We're always listening to advice. If there are other things that we can do better to enhance it, all the better. Our budget is moderate at 250. If we get more, we can still do more, basically. So this is our humble project we want to do for the 96 and also for the 111 speech day that's next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good initiative. Any questions from anybody? Have questions for the 96 year group?
So, Senior Mackay, the fun fact is that Joe Hackman was my fag, Aglombi House.
I see. Wonderful. It's an Aglombi. Well done. Well done, Mr. Hackman. So
see,
just
I beg you, don't fire me. I beg you.
That's okay. That's okay. So just a quick question.
Okay.
Why you guys? I mean, what your project that you've chosen? It's a good one, but I guess one may ask, if the aim of this is to get the students to experience the practicals, if you will, of a physics experiment or a chemistry experiment or something of that nature, via YouTube, why not do something in the classrooms where they meet to for those lessons, just in case as they are in there and looking at this in YouTube, the teachers can then supplement or at least use whatever materials they have, which I know is the barest minimum, to supplement what is that they are watching on YouTube. Did you guys think about getting these e-learning facilities into the science lab, into the science laboratories?
Sina, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Yes, we did. But looking at the scale of it, if we say we are going to do the infrastructure in almost all the science classrooms plus the laboratory, it is going to take some amount of funding. This project, we call it it's like a springboard, which we intend, we want to build on it for various year groups also to build on.
Mr. Hackman,
Yes,
just a second, if I may, please,
yes.
please, if you could kindly mute your phone when you're not speaking, that would greatly.
No, my phone
with
is
the
off. It's
discussion. So
okay. It's coming from somewhere else. Definitely not mine.
somebody's phone is here. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
No,
So
I wasn't talking to you. I was just pleading with the participant.
okay, sir.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So basically, we took that in consideration, looking at the infrastructure that we need to put up, and looking at wiring all the classrooms and the labs to this. It was going to take some amount of money, which we have to build on. And for me personally, my view is that there are some projects in the school that I think should come from NEC. Then all the various energy groups and contributing than the year groups taking it on and not being able to complete. We consider the fact that yes, we could put it in the various classrooms, but if we put in the various classrooms, we can only do science and leave arts and leave the humanities. Then it's like we are taking them out. But at the moment, what I'm saying is that the Canterbury Hall can hold a maximum of between 500 to 600, which I believe 3 classes cannot even come to that capacity. So if they have the class and they have a combined class, they can move it out there. So if it's economics, those doing economics with maths and those doing pure economics can all come together, and then they can all move up there for that class. After that, when they are done, they break down to their various classes. Eventually, down the line, if we can pick this up as various year groups, and then we decide, okay, every class is supposed to have it, like we have here, so that every class has its own screen and they can do that. All well and done, it's good. But we felt that this was just a starting block, basically.
Mr. Hackman, so thank you. Just a follow-up to Senior Mackay's question. I think you said something that I think is important, which is NEC needs to take ownership and of some of these things. So the question is 94 actively talking to the NEC leadership about making sure that, 96, right? Making sure that 97 will follow up. Just so, because we have this issue of 95 starting this building that is halfway done now, right? And now 96 is not continuing that building, right? And this has been the historical pattern where there's half-completed projects. So are you guys talking to NEC so there's a plan around how this, how this becomes a theme versus just a one-off?
Okay, thank you. I had a conversation with the NEC president probably about 3 weeks getting to a month ago. And this is what I said. And I've also had a discussion with the 95, Dr. Nu and co. I told them, listen, when you guys were choosing this project, I felt the best thing to have done was to speak to NEC to invite the next 5-year groups ahead of you and say, guys, you know what? We are going to commission this project. We know we can complete it. Let's all put our mind to it. So we are not going to present any project during our speech day. You guys wouldn't. And probably 97 or 98 during that year, we'll all come together and present one block, because the effort and the widow's might we all put together is not going to be, one group is not going to be able to handle this. So we spoke to them, and I think NEC is now coming of the view that we need to finish the project that we already have. And we discussed, and then I discussed it with them. But we have also gone far down the line. So probably unless we get a document coming from them saying that, okay, from this year group on, let's all stick to this. That is why I'm saying that after this speech day, some of us are going to be practically very active in NEC to make sure that all our efforts are channeled in the right direction for us to yield than everyone else doing it. Because if you go and you say you want to do a project, you get a land, you start it, it's not done. Another one moves, you start it, it's not done. And it's like there's a lot of these things scattered all over. So we also have a document that after we are done with this speech day, even with the use of it, because there's a tendency for them to go and move a screen somewhere. There's a tendency for them to go and dismantle this. We'll have a proper document saying you cannot move these things.
This is Frank Tego. Is there a governance committee to prioritize these projects?
I think NEC has a committee. NEC brings a paper out and say these are the priority projects that we have from the school, based on what the headmaster will also tell us that these are the things that we have from the school. And now they want to basically want the year groups now to choose from that priority projects.
So it seems like based on what you're saying, right, there's not a roadmap established, right? So in terms, we have, bad planning incorporated in our strategy to plan for these kind of projects. Okay, so that's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yes, For
Yeah,
me,
so
for
fine.
me,
Maybe Joseph, maybe I can jump in here a bit because this is a broader question beyond, our
96.
our
Yes.
96 brothers here, right? This is an issue that we've discussed at length, and I've had a personal discussion with the NEC president as well. And I think the NEC is slowly coming around to realizing that basically we've fragmented our investment dollars and it's all over the place and it's a mess. And I think that some of us had actually advocated, instead of year groups doing these projects, year groups should rather put the money into an endowment fund and then let a committee actually start using money from the endowment fund to execute the projects, right? I still think, this is my personal view, not any official view anyway. I still think that is the right view because we build that endowment, there's a strategic plan, and NEC actually executes against that strategic plan. Maybe we don't get there immediately, but the dialogue I think 96 is starting and a lot of us are having with them is, how do we ensure continuity? So even if we're not putting money in endowment because every year group wants some bragging rights or what have you, how do we ensure that the project that is picked is a follow-on to something that's happening, right? So Sinemake's question around, 96 wants to digitize, I'll use the word, but digitize the way students learn on campus, right? You can say Canterbury Hall is step one, but how do we ensure that for the next 4 or 5 years, every year group is working on digitization, which is another phase of this. So another year group comes and takes the Form 1 block, or maybe 96 will do the Form 1 block, so maybe it's a Form 2 block, Form 3, that kind of thing. So I think there's more dialogue around this topic that needs to happen with NEC and among year groups, right? I think maybe from 97 onwards, needs to be involved in that conversation. But I think that's a broad issue that we have overall.
Hey, Sineron, we don't want to lose track of those who are asking questions online. So we've got 2 questions for our president, Joseph Hackman. One is from Ebenezer Afarikuma. He says, who manages the center and who supports it technically? Has that been considered? And then the second question is from Harry Boafo. And he talks about the internet connection on campus. It looks like they have very bad internet connection. And how are we going to address that at Standard 96?
Okay, thank you. For who manages the center, basically is going to be one of the science masters who is going to be in charge of it. We basically, after the speech day or during, now we don't have the committee, but we are putting up a technical committee from those of us who have the expertise in it to be able to, because the center is going to have 2 servers, which we can even access remotely to actually do updates and also monitor what is going on from there. So basically, some of us will have to put our mic together again after this speech day to make sure that we're able to maintain and also keep it up. Not that it runs for just 2-3 weeks and then it's off. Every time it's off, we will be able to access it and know that, okay, it's gone offline and there's an issue with it. We ask the master what the issue is and what we can do to help. Based on the internet, we are still doing surveys because we are speaking to Santa Clausians in MTN, we're speaking to Santa Clausians we know in Vodafone for them to come and do a test for us to find out which proper, internet connectivity we have. And we are prepared to pay for a 1-year subscription for it. And all this comes basically they having passwords and we managing it and making sure that they are not wasting the data on what it's supposed to. It is not as easy as it sounds. It's a daunting task, but we are really up to it and we want to make this thing work for it to be an example for people to also to use as a stepping stone for us to be able to do it. So these things are questions that we also have that we are addressing gradually as we are coming on. Yes.
Yeah, Joseph, just one suggestion, right?
Okay.
The NEC now has an office. Well, I don't know if it's fully staffed yet, but NEC has a designated office on campus, which is supposed to be an alumni office. As of December, around Christmas time, the NEC president told me it had been confirmed and they had it. We really should think, and this shouldn't fall just on the 96-year group, but there's a question of, if you put it on a staff member, a teacher, right, you're at the mercy of their expertise and all that stuff. The question is there somebody, if we're going to be doing this digital thing, should NEC actually employ somebody on campus who will manage the whole digital program, right? And every year group, 10% of the money is put aside to towards funding that person's salary or something like that. That's, I think if you guys wait till the end, your money will be finished. And, so I think the question was more in the spirit of, as you guys are planning, add that to your budget and talk to the next president and figure out if there's a way in which something like that can be put in place. Then we have longevity of your dollars that you're putting in now.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
This is
Excellent
David.
point.
Excellent point, Senior Aaron. There's a question from Senior Benyako. He also talks about the budget, and Ebenezer also talks about the budget. So I think it's very important for us to consider the budget, because what we see on campus is that we go in there and put up all these structures without making allocation for maintenance. So these are great questions. Thank you all.
Yeah. This is David Yankee. I have a question. I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Well, since this is going to be a museum type and stuff like that, can't it be linked with the librarian? Because the librarian will have the expertise to help in that. And since they just put up the new library or refurnish the library and stuff like that, can't the person running the library be asked to do that as well? You know, that's a suggestion.
Yeah. David, I think it's a good suggestion, but just one thing to keep in mind. I think the original question was around the technology, right? The librarian is just not equipped to manage the digital stuff. It's just not her job. It's not something that's in her wheelhouse.
Please, I would also want to suggest one thing. I don't know their curriculum now, whether they have an IT master, because they all, every school is having basically like a computer lab or a computer laboratory, you know, into IT. So if we have an IT master that is there, we'll look at the competence of it. If he needs training, we need to put him through training to be able to manage, because it's better that we have somebody who is already on campus than employ and come and find accommodation for the person now to come and run it and manage it. So at least if you have a basic technical person who knows the technical know-how about it, if it gets out of hand, I mean, we're always on board. Those of us that put it together are always on board. You can reach us to ask questions. Okay, this is the problem we are facing. How do we solve it? And if we need to send someone there to go and maintain it, that is fine. So, I mean, all the suggestions are coming in are good.
And Joseph,
yes,
this is Mark. I agree. As to the competence of the technology teachers on that campus, I will stay on authority. There's none. They know how to teach the kids how to use Excel and write some small HTML scripts and all of that. But as to the maintenance of hardware and all of that, there's none. And because the 1965 for, I believe, Dr. Gaze's year group, if I'm not mistaken, spent close to $45,000 a couple of years ago to put in a computer lab. And trust me, you see some pictures. I don't know if I have all the pictures, but I can tell you that that place is in shambles now because the so-called IT teacher on campus, one, doesn't know, two, doesn't listen, three, and doesn't reach out for help. So even though everything you're saying is right on point, when it comes to the doing of it, they fall way short. So everything you said is true. I know you guys are thinking through this, just as the questions that we see coming up are all in line. Some are talking about maintenance, working on the NIC, a continuation after the speech day, because after the speech day, all the momentum is lost. And there's all this excitement towards the day. At the end of the day, everybody disperses, and then the momentum is gone. So what you're saying is a good thing. We are getting to the digital age. It's a good idea that we start somewhere. But just as you stated, others started a project and didn't finish. We don't want this project to start to be completed, and then we all sit back and watch it wither and die away. So as part of your build towards this, let's have discussions after today, because I'm sure there are folks who have a lot of ideas that we can call upon, and let's build a committee to see this through, and then to let's build that roadmap, right, for the implementation and the maintenance and the support post your handover to ensure that this becomes successful for all of us.
Yeah, this is Frank Tago. I think you're definitely right. You hit the nail right on the head. We definitely need a roadmap. We need to scope out the estimates for this project. We need to, provide a statement of work and, have, a project plan initiated. I think we just need to plan accordingly, and we should be fine.
Okay,
Mr. Afrakuma has been trying to make a point, so let's have him make a point, and then Joseph, you can respond to
Okay.
both, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. One thing about information technology is that we all get excited about it, but then we don't think beyond the installation. What is the return on its investment? The investment we are making in IT, what is the return? We don't look at it. Like I was telling the Anglo-B House this morning, there is no curriculum for ICT in the education, in our system. So it means that we have to sort of plan it. What are we teaching this little one? One guy was telling me what in their time, the computer lab they have, what they were using it for. They have to go watch movies and a whole lot of other things. That was what they were using it for. Because
well, Mr. Ebenezer, sorry for me to interrupt. We do have an ICT in the curriculum.
Okay.
As part of the West African Examination Council exams, the kids have to take an ICT exam. We might disagree on the definition of ICT, but there is something in the curriculum.
No, under the regular, they only do it under the ABCE and then the advanced. So that what basically I'm trying to say is, let us plan and plan well. At this school, want to adopt this. We want to make an IT hub within the school. So all these things need to be properly structured. The staff that you want him to maintain the place, once it is not his original job description, mind you, he's not going to pay attention to it. But if he or she knows that they're paying him for that job, at least he'll take care of it. But otherwise, I think that is the recipe for disaster. So let's rethink about this.
Good.
So
Joseph, in the spirit of time,
I'd like to have a quick suggestion. Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead. That'll be the last one. We'll move on.
Okay. Well, the suggestion is I see that there's a big problem with projects not having been completed. So why don't we have two categories of projects, right? Where there's a fund where people can look and then help complete projects. But then others come in and the other donors come in and they have their own target projects, right? And that they want to see done. And to put to take the funds from them and dedicate to some other project, it probably wouldn't be very good for them. So if for instance they're interested in the project, they should come with all the arrangements to see the project to completion. If they don't have the funds to see the project to completion, they should look for other year groups that will want to come in that project, so that when the project is all taken up, that you have everything to start from the beginning to the end, to know that you have everything there to complete the project. So these are so if we have two categories of projects like that, that would be probably good. That's
so
all.
Are you talking about CapEx and OpEx?
I don't know the details.
Capital expenditures. So you have one funding.
No, what he's saying, guys. Sorry, just in the interest of moving us along, all he's saying is you've got projects that are uncompleted that need money to be completed, and you've got people with ideas or a vision for a new project. Figure out a way to balance both. Don't stop the completely new projects. If somebody's so passionate about doing something different, just make sure it's end to end. And then if the other people who don't have a strong passion can put money into a fund that completes existing projects. I think
right.
That's what
and I think that's where the governance committee comes into place.
Yep. Good. So to move us forward, Joseph, one last thing. So our 95-year guys, I think Ben Oakley was supposed to give us an update. He's struggling with, he can't get good signal. He's in Ghana right now. So maybe can you guys give us a 1 minute between you, Ed, and Propro, 1 minute update on how this last speech day went on behalf of 95?
I will let Ed take the lead, and then I'll come in later.
Sure.
Because he was there on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. I was there. It was a great experience to be on campus. I think 95 did a wonderful job of hosting the speed day. I was there for most of their programs. It went very well. The thing that was really, really lacking was seeing through the completion of their project and a plan for going forward with anything beyond the speed day. That's the one thing downside that I saw. But overall, I think it was a very successful speed day. Very nice to be on campus. I met a couple of folks from the 60th year group. Mr. Enin was there. Majub was also there, and then 95 did a wonderful job of at least doing the science project. One of the ideas that have been floated around, which we had to discuss internally within the Santa 96 year group, was kind of taking over from 95 and doing their project and seeing its conclusion. But what we've also done, as our president said, is that we've invested so much money into our projects, right? Because what 95 could have done in the beginning was getting us involved maybe 2-3 years ahead to make sure that we have 3-year groups taking over this project. But we've also invested so much money into our project that we couldn't just stop what we're doing to go continue what they have started. So maybe it's time for us to reach out to Santa 97 and beyond to see if they can go back and complete that project that 95 started. But it's a wonderful project, and it's all in good hands. Hopefully we can get it to finish. We can get them to finish it.
Good. Thank you, Ed. And by the way, I just want to recognize, I think Mr. Enning is on the Zoom. I think I saw him earlier. So.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, very good. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
What do you do? What am I
And then Dr. Marquata is also on.
Yes, that's right. I think I saw Dr. Marquat. So we'll keep recognizing our seniors as they come in.
And senior Majub is also on from Canada.
Great, welcome. And then Senior Albert Benyako, I see him there. Senior Kojokran, John.
My dad is also on. Senior writer, 63.
Senior writer, welcome. Okay, so we'll keep recognizing seniors as they come in. So in the spirit of moving us along, why don't we, Mr. Atu Davis, are you on now? Can you hear me? Okay, well, while we wait for him, Propro has put on a little poll question, so please respond. He's trying to get a sense of where you're joining from.
Was exposed different times, and all those times, some entered it. So we have used the number.
Propro, you don't cover Gulf Coast of US. Some of us are in Houston. We don't see ourselves there.
Propro, for some reason, I'm not seeing the polls, though.
Hey, really?
Yes, sir.
Maybe it's your network.
I just answered mine and submitted.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Propro, this is your post. They go fast, pal. Please, seniors, before you continue, I just have a very, let's say, a slight suggestion. I feel that NEC and also the governing body of the school would have to come together to find a way that probably will have a business manager for the school who is going to take care of finding sponsorship and being able to provide what the school needs, separate from the academics. Because when it comes to issues of NEC and what we come through and what the money is going through, and from the little that I know and also speaking to other Santa Clausians, just as I said, if $45,000 said by our senior was put into ICT, and you go back to the school and go and realize that once you even put your it's not being put to use properly, or they are not even maintaining.
I hear you. Probably it's network.
I think the headmaster wants to talk.
That's the headmaster.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Mr. Atu Davis, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So why don't we let you, sorry about the network issues, why don't we let you give us the update from the school. So folks, sorry about the timing, but this is Mr. Atu Davis, Assistant Headmaster on campus. And again, as Kofi said, if you're not speaking, please mute your phone. so we can hear Mr. Davies clearly. So Mr. Davies, over to you.
Thank you very much. Campus is quiet and peaceful, except that because of the pandemic that has gripped the whole world, we have to follow the various restrictions that have been outlined by the government. So schools went down for about 2 months now, and we are waiting for when we'll be asked to come back. That is it. So campus is quiet and peaceful. We don't have much problem around, except that students are not around.
And Mr. Davies, anything, requests or any areas? I know students aren't there now, but any areas where you think help is required in the school, whether it's academic matters or anything else?
We have quite a good number of them. In fact, on behalf of management, I express my gratitude to the old boys for their massive contributions towards the development of Adesade College. But as human institution, every now and then we encounter challenges. So far as academic work is concerned, Adesade is the first school to start ICT, and now all other schools are coming on board. Somewhere along the line, the 1964 year group stocked our ICT lab with about 40 computers. But as we speak now, we cannot make good use of the lab because the 2 servers that were connected to the 40 computers have all broken down. Management, upon advice of the ICT teachers, went to UCC to bring experts to come and fix them. But just that it cannot go through. So for now, that lab is not working. We have one lab that is now working with about 20 computers. And you can just imagine the pressure that will be exerted on them. That is it. The 1995 year group started a project which was so dear to the heart of the school, the STEM project. But our 4 science labs are quite old, and because of the increase in the number of students, especially science students, the capacity of the lab cannot actually meet the pressure that the students or the science classes will put on them. So we were so glad when the 1995 year group started the STEM project. And we are only hoping that should that project be completed, it will go a long way to help us to solve our practical, especially science practical problems that we have now. If you look at other sister schools, in fact, their labs are well resourced as compared to ours. Even as we wait for the completion of the STEM project, we require or we need a lot of science equipment. And that is it. Whenever we are having practicals, you have to do so many sets. If it is chemistry, we have 3 sets, but then you have to put them into about 3 groups. And often it makes us to keep a long time before you finish the practicals. Whilst all others who have finished theirs long ago, we had always been behind them because you don't have spacious labs that can sit the number of students taking the subjects. Hello?
Yeah, yes. We're listening to you, Mr.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Then we also have an issue with our dormitories. Once again, the old boys did very well. When we were about celebrating the speed day, various year groups of the various houses came around to do some work in their various houses. But then we still have more to be completed. And we are hoping that with time, all other groups will come on board to have some of the problems that we have in our dormitories fixed for us. With classrooms, we do not have much problem yet because we have some of the classrooms renovated. Those that needed urgent renovation, we have them fixed now. I think 1982 year group have done it. Then we have another group, sorry, I've forgotten them. They have also fixed another one for us. Government is also putting up together about 22 unit classrooms for us, 2 blocks of 22 units classrooms for us. And I know when the safe projects are completed, we will not have problem with classrooms. A dormitory is also being put up by the government of about 100 student capacity. And should we get these classrooms ready with the increased number of students, if that dormitory is completed, in addition to another one that is even bigger for about 400 student beds capacity, if that one should be completed, we will not have much problem with classrooms and the dormitories. And with that one, with the bigger one, the contractor just shown up about a couple of weeks ago of showing a letter that I've been given to him to come back to site. So hoping that very soon, after the restrictions for the observance of the COVID control is over, we will come to site and have it completed for us. That is it. With furniture, we do not have much problem. Government has supplied enough for us. Dining hall, some works have been done over there. The PTA provided more benches, about 50 tables and 100 benches for us, and that should be also enough for us. Because looking at our student population now of about 200, 460 or so, we do not come together, or all the students are not found on campus at the same time. They come on tracks. So anytime we have about 2 tracks on campus, the facility is able to contain them. We do not have much problem so far as the dining hall is concerned. In fact, in many schools, they run on shift, but we do not. We do not run on shifts for dining.
Okay. Mr. David.
Yes, please.
How are we doing academically compared to the other schools in Ghana?
As our motto says, you're either the first or with the first. And I can proudly say that we are not lagging behind at all. At least, if we have to take the national math and science quiz competition, we have made a mark over there. For 4 consecutive times, we have been at the final. We are the only school in Ghana, and we are feverishly preparing for the current one if it should be organized. So we are not doing badly at all. Even though we were not able to get our 8 A's in 2019, was C. But then our results could have been the best or among the best. So academically, we are not doing badly at all.
Excellent. There are a couple of questions online. The first one comes from our very own Prince Mensa. He says, what's the school's administration's plan of stewardship for all the projects from the old boys on campus? And then there's one from Emmanuel Saki, plan on managing and maintenance. I think that thing that we are all seeing is that there's a lack of maintenance on campus. So what is your plan on following up with maintenance for all the money that's been pumped in by the old boys?
That's a very, very important question. And whenever we have projects which was so important to us fixed, and within no time we see them going down, but it pains us a lot. Management nowadays is handicapped so far as finances are concerned. With the introduction of the free SHS policy, students are now billed. contributions of PTA, which initially or formally then we
Mr.
decide
Davis?
to do so. So we lack money to be doing such a maintenance work very often. However, when it has become very necessary, we manage to fix those that can be done within our financial capacity.
Right. This is Frank Tego. I think I posed that question. Is the root cause basically mostly based on how you guys do your financial planning?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Headmaster. We can hear you.
Good. Thank you very much. So as I said, internally, we will make sure that we actually safeguard the longevity of such projects. But with time, you see some parts of it breaking down. We manage. The government gives the school some amount of money for maintenance, but you can just imagine it's not enough to bring them back to the state that such projects were. And that is our major problem.
Perfect. I think maybe this can be mitigated by having some sort of financial planning module based on your actuals to see how you guys can plan for the future. But I think that's another topic.
Thank you.
So it goes without saying, it goes without saying then that if we are thinking of any project on the campus, the maintenance and the sustainability of whatever that is should be part of the budget, which goes to exactly the conversation we had moments ago. And then, but if we are going to depend on the school, we give them a gift, and we have to go and maintain the gift. It's basically what we are being told, because since they are not allowed to charge the students anything, they will not. And even if they have a maintenance man on campus, that maintenance person will need some tools and resources to do his or her job. And so in the absence of the school not charging the students, basically they do not have money until they receive money from the government. So
exactly.
If we are going to do anything, we need to include that as part of the project planning.
Exactly.
As sad as it sounds, and as bad as it sounds and looks, this is a reality that we have to deal with. So we just got to plan around that.
Hello, this is George, and to actually add to so actually, David, this is George Arthur. We met at the library.
Yes. Uncle Joe, how are you?
Pretty good. To also add to what Sinamak is saying, basically the maintenance thing would actually include the AOBA is actually hiring in the contractor to perform the maintenance, because we cannot rely on the school's maintenance department, which is normally it's just one person who is basically given a hammer and whatever to go around fixing broken lockers and things. So if we are bringing state-of-the-art items and things like that, we need to actually engage a company to do that kind of maintenance. Last time I was in the school, I was told like 40–50% of computers were not working. That's at that time. I don't know the percentage right now, but when it comes to IT and everything, we need to be prepared to actually engage a company to actually come and do the maintenance. That's
right. That's right.
But even though you have an IT maintenance external entity to help with the maintenance, do you guys actually have like an ERP system that actually buckets your chart of accounts to know how to allocate your budget appropriately?
Mr. Tego, Mr. Tego, the type of questions you're asking We'll send our people into hiding.
Exactly.
But they're very practical questions.
I have a suggestion too.
Very practical questions though. Because
they
I mean,
are.
obviously,
They are.
you need to
We
plan
don't
your money.
dispute that.
Right.
But
You need to plan and
they
budget
do
and
not have
allocate
an
money
administrative
effectively.
system to keep track of the number of the students. So when you talk about ERP, you're kind of transposing some of the things that we take for granted here over there. And we know exactly where you're going, but the facts are this. They do not have that. I'm sure they are still using pen and paper to keep track of their chart of accounts. I might be mistaken. But whatever
Exactly.
they have.
But I'm not saying you need an ERP system per se. I'm saying you need some sort of financial modeling. You can do it offline, Excel, whatever the case may be, right? But you need an effective way of planning based on your actuals.
You're right. So now ask the school accountant.
Ask a question. Can I please ask a question? I was just trying to find out. I realize from hearing from some of the seniors that the school cannot charge students for money for maintenance, but I'm pretty sure that the school has the right to prioritize things that are important to them. And it is extremely important that without infrastructure, it's hard to really bring out a finished product and make it look and be successful as it needs to be. So as we have the advice, the assistant headmaster online or the headmaster, what priority does the school itself place on maintaining existing resources in order for longevity so that we don't continue to reinvest back on existing resources so we can move the school forward?
Thank you very much. The various sections have been entrusted to the care of the 3 assistants. So we have the assistant domestic, who normally takes care of or look at the good state of the various structures that we have. But students, as you know them, you cannot predict them. So if indeed classrooms have been refurbished, you will give all the necessary talk, all the necessary advice. The next time you go, a little bit is broken, and you wouldn't know who did it. You go to the lab, you make sure you are monitoring them carefully, because we know that management itself cannot acquire such things, and they are quite expensive. So the teachers will be monitoring them closely. But guess what? Before you are aware, an item is broken and no one owns that. And because you're also not giving out the bills, it becomes very much difficult for us to even share the cost with parents. As I said, government will bring in some money, but that might be only enough for some aspects of the maintenance work, not all. So it is not our, we are not happy that items will be bought and with time you see them going down. But then that is the problem, that's the situation you find ourselves in. But and nowadays that we do not even go on vacation. As soon as this truck leaves, another one comes. So you can imagine the pressure that we have on our facilities now.
Okay. And if I may ask, is it against either the school policy or the government policy to have some kind of civilian maintenance system to be able to, not private areas where students live, but for example, dining halls, classrooms, to have some kind of civilian system that would deter people from intentionally trying to destroy resources that are already in the school? Is it against the government law or the school law? Or is that something that could be looked into?
I don't think it's against the law. But then, whatever you fixed in there, if students should get to know that they are being closely monitored every second, every minute, they will find a way of compromising whatever gadget that is being used to monitor them.
But at least would deter some, because what's happening is that it appears to me that it's being told to us that we cannot simply trust students. Neither can we trust anybody. Actually, we could trust only God, in my opinion, because that's what the scripture says. However, if we have a system that can help us at least reduce the breakages and actually to be able to hold people accountable for a start. That might deter people from, continually destroying resources, either intentionally or unintentionally without any consequences, because this has been going on for a long time. I lived in Elliott House when I was in school. And, every single time we were being charged for louvers or whatever, or other members were coming in to fix those things. And sometimes people may do something to it. But for classrooms and dining halls and other resources that are public, like the library and others, I think it's incumbent upon either the association, the Old Boys Association, or the school to figure a way to reduce the level of breakages and intentional spoilage. So that way, we don't continue to come back to renovate, or to at least be doing such things repeatedly all the time, which is keeping us back. And I would like to hear some suggestion on that, sir.
But again, where
Can I
is
make
going
a suggestion?
this is Frank.
Hello.
Hello? Where are you going to get the funding from? Right?
Well, if we put in the funding from here, if we are putting in funding from project for here, it probably makes no sense for us to know that it's going to go down the drain. We have to appropriate in such a way that we can actually keep them there. Otherwise,
So
we are really just...
Hello.
Hey guys,
Yes,
I just
hello.
This is Aaron. Can I make a quick point here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think there's a lot of comments around this maintenance issue. We've kicked it around a bit. There's some very basic facts of life about this.
Yes, sir.
The GES does not provide Adisado College enough money to be doing maintenance on the kinds of things we are putting into the school, number one. As Senior George said, it's one maintenance guy with a hammer and some nails, and is going around doing some very basic things. Number two is we as Old Boys have put in a lot of infrastructure with zero allocation to maintenance.
Yes, sir.
So as a result of that, we have what we call the NEC. And I think the conversation is the NEC and all of us together by extension should start to think about every project that we do needs to have some allocation of what it will take to maintain it going forward, either through a resource we put on campus alongside what GES has there already, or through a contract with the contractor who does the project for us. We can ask 101 questions. It doesn't change the facts on the ground. We have to do it, right? So I just want to move us forward and not try to make it like the school's not doing something here.
If I may quickly, adding to what President Abuaji has said, this is Prince Mensa here, class of 1992. I think from our recent dust up with the Ministry of Education, it is now clear that Old Boys are not one of the recognized stakeholders in Adisado College. That's a fact we've known, like we now know from our dust up with the Ministry of Education. So knowing that reality, Assistant Headmaster, what are your thoughts on how Old Boys, passionate as we are, can operate effectively under such circumstances? This is a reality we are dealing with. So what do you think? Give us suggestions so that going forward we know.
Is that in correlation to the maintenance activity we're talking about?
Yes, it kind of encompasses that.
Okay, so I think we should have two buckets, right? We should have one bucket, for the CapEx funding, and another bucket for the maintenance funding, right? So we can donate to that and try to make sure, we help with the funding for any maintenance activities around the campus. Because there's no way we can engage and incorporate the maintenance fee in our CapEx projects, right? Because, after the lifetime of the project, those maintenance fees are going to dissolve. So we need to have some sort of stable allocation in terms of another bucket to try to fund those maintenance activities.
Sinera, how are we doing on time?
Yeah, you're right. So I was going to say that it looks like a lot of good questions have been asked to Mr. Davis, and we are hearing voices that we never heard before. So this is what I would suggest, that all these are very good ideas. I think the leadership is going to take note of this, and I believe that we may have to form some committee because to help us here abroad and to help our brothers in Ghana to come up with either committees or groups to help with some of these things that we're talking about. I think everybody is bringing out some very important suggestions. And then Mr. Davis, in his capacity as the headmaster, I believe, due to the current situation in Ghana and the Ministry of Education and all, I think is in a position to discuss certain things, and in some cases will not be able to discuss other things. So I think we've beaten this this particular issue a bit. So what I would suggest is that for all of you who have these suggestions, please we'll reach out to you or make yourselves known, make yourselves available to participate or to volunteer on one of these committees that will come up with after this event to help us interact with our folks in Ghana, the NIC and all, to make sure we can implement some of the suggestions that we're putting forth here.
Hello,
Senor. So, Mr. Davis, I think at this point we will move on to the next topic, but just wanted to say a big thank you. I know we're disrupting your Saturday, so thank you. And just for folks, Mr. Davis has also been very helpful to us in terms of identifying students and facilitating applications for the scholarship. So thank you for that as well. So with that, we will move on. Of course, Mr. Davis, you're welcome to stay on longer if you wish, but we'll move on to the next topic.
But Sineron.
Yes.
Yeah, please, can I give one assurance?
Yes, please.
Yes. The idea of the old boy being sidelined doesn't fall in our plans here as management. In fact, the development of Adesada College, anyone who will come here being so much impressed with the state of the school, the credit goes to the old boys. So probably the reason why the Minister of Education said that Adesada old boys do not count much when it comes to management of the school, they may have their own reason, but to the board and to management, without our old boys, the school suffers so much. And for that matter, you put much premium on your contributions and your passions that you have for our school. So we welcome you, and we are always looking up to you for such support, as we've been doing always.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. That's well received. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. All right. So we're running a little bit. I think we're about 15 minutes behind, but we'll try to catch up on some of it. So we'll move to our next topic, which we will do very briefly. This is annual update, and we opted to go for a very short update. Of course, we'll take questions at the end of it. And there are really 4 things that we wanted to talk about. One was a quick update on our scholarship. Where we are with the scholarship. I think we have 6 recipients to date. We're covering tuition and living expenses. We're spending about $1,000 a year on each of these students. We have a wide range of students from medical school to the sciences. To this point, I think I won't spend too much time on this call for sponsors, but Ed will talk about it. We have an endowment. We're trying not to touch the base funds. So we keep asking for, even if 2 people want to come together and say, look, each of us will make a $500 commitment a year to support a student, right? Then 2 people coming together can support a student, right? We have some people doing that already. So we'll ask that. We're in the process of trying to select recipients for this year. And we look to you guys to help us on this journey. We have 2 people that have graduated. One was on the scheme, one was off the scheme, but 2 people that have graduated today both did extremely well, graduated with first class. They're finishing their national service. One of them is still in the market looking for a job, and thankfully our old boys in Ghana actually helping him find a job, right? And I think personally for me, looking back at this, right, the beauty of it is we invest funds and what have you, mentorship and what have you, but we have a broader Santa Clausian body, and to see the support. One of our students is at KPMG right now in Ghana, and he got in because one of our mates, Santos, who's a partner at KPMG, mentored him through the application process, right? And so I think it's not just the dollars, right? But it's what the Santa Clausian body can do to get some of these kids who probably would have fallen by the wayside onto a path where they can actually give back. It's just amazing. It's really refreshing to see. So that's really the spirit here. I'll leave Ed. Ed will take us through the call for funds and sponsors in a few minutes here. The second topic was on informational sessions. Some of you have joined some of our informational sessions, primarily on healthcare and finance. Towards the end of the session today, Leo will give you an update on what we have coming. We have events coming all the way through the next 4 or 5 months or so. So Leo will share that. The third one I think we've actually touched on briefly today, which is there's a new team, a new NEC team in place, and we've got a good working relationship with them. So to the point that Senior Mackay made about maintenance, right? We should actually form I think for me, there's 2 topics that have come up today that are worth going back for a real discussion with NEC. One is this idea of maintenance, and then the second one is the idea of continuity on projects, right? So how do we think about, when we talk about 96's project and 95 project, how do we think about it? I think those are 2 really important topics that we will put on the slate for our next discussion with the NEC. And this, the NEC team has been very receptive to our feedback and our suggestions. So I think that's something worth noting. And then the last one is an important one. I think, Kofi and I and the broader leadership team here have been doing this. Somebody was joking on the forum that, it's presidency for life. It is not presidency for life. We've been at this for, I don't know, 4 years, something like that.
We want more. We want more. We want more.
Definitely, we are definitely not given less, but it's also time for some fresh blood, right? Now, in the spirit of continuity, what we decided was, we will basically do a gradual transition, and the transition will basically be done. We will sort of step off as the executive team at next Congress in 2021. But what we want to do actually is, just like we did as when we came onto the executive team, we want to get a new set of folks that are interested, right? And hopefully some of the newer members, the younger generation, will raise their hands to play an active role. And the spirit of this is, we want the transition to be as smooth as it was when we came into office. So we might have we'll have an election, I guess, in 2021, but frankly, we want the pool of candidates to have been people who have, played roles, actively participated in leading the organization over the next year. So, even if we have an election, it'll be more objective. People will be able to look at, what people have actually done and vote based on that, right? So the ask here is, please reach out to us offline. Let us know if you're interested. There's lots to do, and we will bring you into the fold, help you, make sure that we can drive some real impact together here. So anybody who's interested in joining the leadership team, please raise your hand, reach out to us, and we will get you involved after this.
Do you guys have a question?
Aaron, if I may add, and to that end, if anybody is on the call today who is not on either any of the platforms, if you could test put your information in the chat so that we can add you to the AOBA North America platform. That will make so we can engage you. Actually, if you could put it there, Ed can get that information down and we'll reach out to you. So if you could do that before the call ends, that would be great. Aaron, sorry to interject. You can go ahead.
No, that's good. So let me pause. There's one more update, but I'll.
Aaron, can I ask you a question real quick before we move ahead?
Yes,
I'm just digressing a little bit. Do we have like a communication so we know who to contact in case of trying to help with funding or being the leader, being including a leader committee or the governance committee or something like that?
Yeah, that's actually why Kofi was. Are you on any of the platforms?
Yes, I'm on the North America platform.
Okay, so if you post on, if you go on there, you can look for myself, Aaron Abuaji, Kofi Gbedu-Ansah, Leonard Reiter, Adetua Hine, or you can just post on there that you want our information, and we'll send it to you. If you're in our database, if you just put your name, just send a message now. Ed will capture it. If we have your information, we will send you we'll send you we'll send you some information, and then we can keep the dialogue.
And Ed, can you also share the executive email, AOBA North America email on the chat so folks can write it down? That's another way you can reach out to us.
Sure. Sineron, talking about leadership, can you elaborate on what kind of positions would be available come next year?
So it's the whole leadership team. So there's we've had co-presidents in the past. I'm unclear whether we'll have co-presidents or a president and a vice. We have the treasurer that Ed plays. We've got the secretary, which Leo plays right now. We've got the year group liaison. We've got the regional chapter liaison. We've got what we call social activities liaison, and there's a few more. What I'll do is I'll post the whole slate on the platform. Actually, while we're talking, I'll post it. I'll do a cut and paste and post it in the message window so folks can see the list. Okay, clearly there's quite a few people who are not on the platforms, and I know there's a few people that have added, Ebenezer Tetekwe added his information here. So please keep it coming. And Ed, if you can keep capturing that for us, I think that would be good. By the way, another way to get your information to us is if you registered through if you did the online registration for this event, then we would have your information too.
So Aaron, before we move on, I just want us to, if we can take a moment to see if we can hear from some of our senior brothers. I know they've been quite listening to us, the young ones, ramble on for a little bit. So if you don't mind, Senior Pepe, Senior Gazy, Senior Sito, our own Sito, Senior Ernest, if you don't mind, we'd like to hear from you. Maybe we can start with Senior Pepe.
And Senior Maju.
And Senior Maju as well. So Senior Pepe, the floor is yours. We want to hear from you.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's good to be around and have the opportunity of dialing in and hearing very enthusiastic old boys try to handle issues from the campus in the school. It's been nice to listen to the new ideas, and I'm taking them in. I've been involved with Old Boys Association for some time, so I just have to be. I like to be in the goalpost, just brace. And then at the end of the day, some suggestions that we may have will pass on. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Dr. Gazy.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I stepped out for a second. What was the question?
Uncle,
okay. As I listen to what's going on, one of the things that worries me a lot is the fact that because the government seems to be in control of the educational system in Ghana, different high schools, or what they call now senior secondary schools and junior secondary schools, because the government is almost in control of these systems, it makes it very difficult for us to organize the system in the most appropriate way. And this is why we have all these ongoing problems from year to year, just because, we really do not seem to have control of what's going on in the school.
Hey there, did we lose you?
I think he's finished.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Gazy.
Okay.
Senior Ernest. You have to unmute yourself. You're on mute. Pro, can you unmute Senior Ernest?
Yeah, okay, I got it. I got it done. Thank you very much. I was here enjoying all the contributions that you guys are making. They're great contributions, and I think my addition here will be, if what we are doing for the school in terms of our contributions and our participation in all the projects that all the year groups are taking, does the government, which is now in control of school, does the government really understand what we're doing? Does the government understand that we have a part to play in that school? And that we need a voice all the time to be able to at least right the ship when it's going wrong? Does the government understand that part?
Okay.
That's a question for Planet, right?
All right. Thank you, Senior Ernest. And I see Dr. Mwakwata is also on. Sito, Dr. Senior Sito Mwakwata. All right. I see Senior Edmond, who joined us yesterday.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah, well, I thought you could hide.
Can you explain? I understand the schools are now tuition free. So what's that all that scholarship for? Can you explain further, please?
So this is a scholarship that we established for students from Adisada College, excellent students, academically strong, with good moral standing, who are from very needy homes and cannot afford the fees to the university. So we established the scholarship fund to take them through the university system. So it's nothing to do with the school. These are Santa Clausians living at this school, going on to the university that we are pushing through.
Yeah. Hello, hi, this is Edmund. I heard you mention my name a few minutes ago.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have been in and out, but I just wanted to interject here and make a comment. I thought I heard Dr. Gaze and somebody else saying the government is in control about matters of the school. Now, I thought we had a board of governors. Have we actually found out what the government needs and what they want from us? Have we tried to find out what's going on?
Well, I don't know if the headmaster is on there, but I'll start. Arion and the other guys, you can chime in. We do have a board of governors
yes,
at the school, and it just so happens that the Ministry of Education, under this new government with the free SACS program, I think have gone beyond what we will consider to be the confines of the SAH program, and now they're basically de facto trying to dictate, if you will, for the schools. So even though we have a board of governors, I will believe that their activities have been constrained to some extent. So that's where we find ourselves. I mean, anytime you discuss this subject, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself wading into a political debate, which we don't want to do. But suffice to say, the Ministry of Education is basically running all the schools in Ghana the way they deem fit.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, I see Situ lighting up. Situ, are you ready? Dr. Mwakwata.
Yes, sir. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Do you hear me? I'm having challenges with this phone here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, I think I've listened intently to the various contributors. All that I will add is, let's keep on doing our part. Okay, the Ghana education system is structured in such a way that the ultimate powers, lies within their framework. So all that we do is just to complement what they do. And even though we have the board of governors, all that we can do at best is to channel whatever contributions we have through them, okay, to effectively get it across, okay, to that platform to be effected into the school system. We can unilaterally from outside, conduct the administration of the school as we may wish, even though we may see the ship, steering in a way we don't want. The best we can do is to offer our counsel, good counsel, to the board of governors, who in turn can, through their offices, get it across to the education service and then the school administration. That's the unfortunate part of, the kind of system we have in the country until we privatize at the side where we may have ultimate control. That's how we're going to ride along, with cities from the school and from the education service. That's my 2 cents.
All right.
Make, I think we have 2 more seniors that we really need to hear from. Senior Mays and then Leo's father. We need to hear from these 2.
Have you heard from Senior Pebi too?
Yeah, he was the first.
Oh, okay.
So I think Senior Mays and then Leo's father.
All right, so we'll start with the senior writer because we like him better than the junior one.
See, just give me 1 minute. He stepped off for a few minutes. I'll get him and then.
All right, so Senior Mays then.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm glad my brother pushed me into signing in because I had a 12 o'clock and now at the chagrin of other people, I've postponed it for an hour. So I'll take a few minutes. Sinabeku and Sito and a few others have touched on this management and the long-term issue. And I think we cannot sit idle and think any government will do anything better for the schools. And I implore you younger ones to start thinking of privatization, the long-term, the funding strategies and everything in there, because we are the pawns in the game. We do what they want and when they want. And from what I hear, government actually only pays salaries and a little bit towards maintenance. So I implore us to start seriously thinking about the privatization of the school and what it means and what it costs, and then we'll work towards that. Secondly, I would like to touch on our approach to this projects and what have you. It's a great, awesome thing, and we all love it, and it's exciting. But after the bragging rights are gone, we have nothing else, as you've all mentioned, and I listened to it attentively. I've been on various house boards, platforms, including my own Elliott House, which is year after year in an awful situation. From the first time we fixed it, they become the best house of the year till it is now. We don't have a management culture, we've all said it. But what we have to go beyond that is really planning towards that management culture. It's not who did this or who did that. The toilet will break, the door will break, all these things will happen. What do we do in a management culture to do all these things? It's unfortunate we've got buildings and projects that have not been completed. You know what? Instead of giving the year groups other things to do, as has been articulated, we must take stock and say, okay, we are going to do the next 5 years, we're going to take care of houses. So all projects, all year groups, this is what we're going to do. The next one, we're going to take care of whatever. Our 96 group is going to do the ITC school system. We have to really pay attention to all these long-term issues and the funding thereof. So I applaud the North American group for what they do. By the way, I'm not on any platform, so somebody can invite me to that platform. I will appreciate it. But this is what I'll leave with it. In the interim, we have to look at the long term in our planning process and how we budget for the maintenance of these issues, and at the same time make sure that other groups don't pick on other activities while we have those that have not been completed. And most importantly, look at privatization of the school. That will not mean that we're doing anything that the government doesn't want, but we are not giving the government control of our vision. I end with my 2 cents.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Amen.
All right, Aaron, back to you.
All right, thank you, Semake. One.
The writer is here, so.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
How are you all doing?
We're doing very well.
We're doing great.
Good, good, good. I wish you happy deliberations and a happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I've listened to the address by the 1996 year group, I think the president. I want to suggest that the digital system you want to embark upon, it will be better you bring in the vice president in it, because he's seriously doing that digitization for the country. And so if you bring him into the picture, whatever support you may need from the government, I think he will be prepared to help you. And you have all boys in the government who can send your message to the vice president for you.
Well put.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good advice, and then we'll do our best to try and then execute. I think these are the times that we'll be calling on Senior Pebi and others in Ghana to use their patience, the maturity, and all of that. Because when some of us get in front of that VP, it might not be a good thing. So, Senior Pebi and others, Senior Pebi and others to lead us in that effort. All right, Aaron.
Okay, all right. So, hey, so 96 called planets. That's all I can say. With that, with that, you know, just moving on. Look, just quickly wanted to recognize our Ohio chapter. These guys, you know, did a really great thing a few weeks ago. They made a donation to a food bank in Ohio to support victims of COVID-19, right? So you see the pictures here. They're extending our brand and being good citizens of the Santa Clausian body. So I just wanted to give you know, this group a really big round of applause for what they're doing. Good. So with that, that's all we wanted to cover there. We have with us, I'm sure a lot of you know Scott from the Spanos group at Raymond James. Scott has been, we made him an honorary Santa Clausian, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, something like that. He's really been very supportive of all our activities, and by definition, you know, our own brother, Senior T. Tommy, who introduced Scott to us and works with Scott. So with that, we'll have Scott give us some words on the CARES Act, and then we'll come back to the rest of the agenda. So Scott, with that, I'll hand over to you. Do you want to take over and share, or how do you want to do this? Scott, you there? Scott, are you on?
I'll try to call
yeah, Aaron, I see him on there, but he's on mute. So let me do this. Let me pin him.
Okay.
Because I understand he had a family engagement too. So let me pin him.
Okay. Okay.
You can
While
go
we're
ahead.
waiting,
I'll pin him.
while we're waiting for Scott. Sorry. Yeah. While we're
Sorry,
waiting.
guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry,
Scott.
I'm sitting here and I'm talking on mute, and I'm like going back and forth trying to figure out why no one can hear me. Sorry about that.
No problems. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much again for having me, as always. I'm going to share my screen if I can figure out how to do this. Let's see if I do this the right way.
Yeah, so I stopped sharing so you can pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this and this. Can
Perfect.
everyone
can
see
you
what
now.
I'm seeing? Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, a few things that I kind of wanted to go over today. The first of which, what happened? One of these days I'll learn how to use this technology. There we go. Did it work? Did it work? Maybe not. Sorry, bear with me again 1 second here.
There you go.
There we go. Wow. Talk about user error, right? I'm probably the youngest one in the room and I can't use any of the technology. I got guys from this 68-year group. They can figure it out, but I can't.
Are you kidding
me? So, as always, if any questions or anything come up, please feel free to interject. I kind of wanted to go over two things today. The first is kind of the current state of affairs, unrelated to anything, with AOBA or specifically your accounts and the challenges that you guys face when it comes to fundraising and things like that. Just really talk about the state of affairs of the financial world in general, and then to kind of specifically dive into your account and some solutions and suggestions that we have for you. Some of you were on the call that I did with T. Tommy a couple weeks ago, so this might be a little bit redundant. Please just bear with me because I know that not everybody was able to make it. I see we have 70 people on here today. So, again, please just bear with me. But it's no secret, obviously, that the global economy is on a major slowdown because of the COVID-19, the novel coronavirus. Different countries globally have handled it in different ways, some more effectively than others. How our Cheetos president decides to handle it further, we will have to wait and see. But the one thing that we know right now that has already been passed is the CARES Act. And the CARES Act is a $2 trillion economic stimulus plan passed almost unanimously by Congress, signed into law about a month and a half ago. That $2 trillion is broken down into a handful of categories. Individuals are going to get $600 billion. Large corporations are going to get $500 billion. Small businesses just shy of $400 billion. State and local governments, almost $340 billion, and public services, almost $180 billion. Out of that, the one that people have the most concern about is the first one, individuals, that $600 billion, how is it actually being distributed? $300 billion is going to go out or has already gone out in cash payments based on how much money you make, your tax filing status, whether you're married, single, whether you have dependents and children. If you have questions about how that's calculated, we can get into that, but I didn't want to get too in the woods if we didn't need to. $260 billion is going for extra unemployment payments. In the past, if you were self-employed, so if you were a painter or a restaurant owner or a real estate agent, you were not eligible for unemployment. Now you are, because they are mandated and forced government shutdowns. $44 billion is going towards student loan relief. If you have a federal student loan, not a private student loan and not a consolidated student loan, but a federal student loan, you have 90 days where there's no interest that will accrue on the loan. So it's going to cost the government a good chunk of change there. $500 billion is going to go to large corporations, primarily in the form of loans. This is, for a lot of these companies, this is to make sure that the inventory remains even remotely feasible, right, from an inventory perspective. Also so that they can make payroll and things like that. Specifically, there's another $58 billion going just to the airline industry. That is in the form of either forgivable loans or loans that will have to pay back for wages and benefits for both passenger airlines, Delta, American, United, Southwest, as well as cargo. Some of the cargo air carriers include, FedEx, UPS, the major ones who are obviously in a very different ball game than some of the more commercial carriers. $400 billion approximately is going to go to small businesses through the form of new loans from the Small Business Administration. Small Business Administration has several new loan types with, again, both forgivable and ultra low interest payment rates on some of these loans. These are designed for companies with less than 500 employees. So again, $350 billion is in new loans. You probably heard about this. This amount was gone in less than a week when the initial bill was passed. Turns out that a lot of major corporations, Shake Shack was the first one that the government realized had actually received a massive government loan when they didn't need it. The company that owns and operates the Los Angeles Lakers is another one that received a giant, large stimulus payment when they didn't really need it. So there were some companies that were out there kind of quote unquote gaming the system in an effort to preserve capital on their end to make sure that they had enough operating and working capital in case they needed it. After some public pressure and public outcry, a lot of them have returned those funds so it can actually be directed to more small businesses. But this amount, again, was gone in a week. Congress then reapproved a second round of funding for another $300 billion, bringing that total up to just under $700 billion in loans for Small Business Administration and new loans. $17 billion is going into relief for existing loans and another $10 billion in grants, depending on what type of industry specifically that small business is in. State and local governments are going to get about $340 billion. $275 billion is directed immediately to the COVID-19 response. Again, much like different countries have handled this differently, some better, some worse, states have handled this very differently, some better and some worse. That being said, the federal government is stepping in an effort to help kind of bankroll a handful of these states. And then a large portion of it is going, almost $50 billion is going to go directly to schools in the forms of higher education as well as K-12. A lot of these have to do with free and reduced lunch programs for a lot of kids around the country. Some of the only decent meals that they get every day are breakfast and lunch that are federally subsidized at school. And when they're not going to school under a stay-at-home order, districts are working to make sure that children are getting getting that food that they need. 180 is going to public services, 100 billion directly to hospitals for things like PPE that we keep hearing is in such short demand, ventilators, things like that. 20 billion in for veterans, 16 billion in for what is SNAP, which is the food stamps program, because realistically now more than ever, they have more people qualifying for it. So, we have lots of federal programs that are in real dire need of funding that don't usually get the level of funding that they're getting. It includes, drug access as well for a lot of these state and local governments. So, without the federal subsidizations of a lot of these drugs, a lot of people wouldn't be able to afford them. But before we go any further, when it comes to whether or not, hang on, I have a visitor. I'm on a call, sweetheart. Stay in here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm at home with 3 little ones who are 7, 5, and 1, and I'll tell you what, this is really testing a parent's love. I'll tell you what. I love them to death, but boy, they drive me up the wall. Anywho, this is the first $2 trillion. Again, there's already been the $300 billion extra injected into the Small Business Administration loans. Are we done? We don't know yet. My guess is that we're not. A lot of corporations haven't even gone through the first round of earnings announcements, where they have to publicly disclose what they're making, and in this case, what they're losing. It's going to be really difficult, even as you start to see state and local governments start to reopen. You're going to see major long-term effects of this. So it's not going to surprise me if we see another round of government stimulus needed. So with that being said, I want to take a quick pause and see if anybody has any questions on this so far. Any comments, anything at all?
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Yes.
Yeah, my question is, with our organization being a 501c, registered, do we qualify to get any chunk of the pie?
So an excellent question, but unfortunately, no. Because the organization doesn't have any actual payroll, there's nothing there for them to make up. Now, if the organization, for example, some large charities, for example, the American Red Cross, right? They have people who are on payroll all year long, administrative workers, things like that. So they actually qualify. But in this case, because there's no actual payroll and it's just volunteer work and volunteer donations, there's nothing there to qualify for.
So what about our Ghanaian counterparts? I think some of them are on payroll, right? So encompassing that into our fold, don't we still qualify? I'm just throwing a long shot. Is there any way you can explore? So there's a segment of the group who are on some kind of payroll, even though they are not here.
No, they have to be here. We cannot take care of people in Ghana. This covers, our work in the United States, and for people that are authorized to work in the United States.
Okay.
Hello, sir. I have a non-emergency medical transportation business, and in that loan, there was a provision that stated that there was economic injury disaster loan, which nonprofits and small businesses were entitled up to $10,000, depending on how many employees that you had on. If you could tell them that was not for the loan part for Payroll Protection Act. Could that be something that maybe an organization, not a 50C organization, it's a nonprofit organization? Is that something they could have looked into, because that's something some small businesses were able to take advantage of?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, to qualify for that, you actually have to have stated in your mission that part of your job is as an entity, as a charitable entity, is in the medical realm, is in volunteering time, effort, resources, and money to go to specific disaster relief on the medical side. So because that's not what AOBA does, it's more, again, raising money for a different purpose. It wouldn't necessarily qualify under that. Okay. But to get that benefit, it has to be a specific mission of the charity's purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to jump ahead real quick, and I can come back to this at any point, but for a couple years, I have heard and can really empathize with the frustration level that a majority of Santa Clausians seem to have with NEC and with trying to privatize, potentially privatize Adisadel because they're just very frustrated with how things have gone. I just wanted to show people kind of a very simple chart. It's very simplistic. However, it's impactful at the same time. Your endowment currently has about $10,000 in it. It's a little bit over $10,000. And this is just the endowment that our company manages for you. This is not any money that's held in Ghana. This is not any money that's held in bank accounts here. This is just in the charitable account that you have with my firm. At one point, we had 72 people on this call. I see now it's 64. I must be boring people to death. But at one point, we had 72 people. So how I did the math was, if we started this year with $10,000, if every one of these 72 people on this call gave $10 a month, that's all I'm talking. I'm not talking about a significant amount of money. I'm talking $10. You can Venmo that or PayPal that right now to T. Tommy, and he'll make sure that it ends up in this account, right? $10 a month for the 72 people that were on this call. And that number gets added each year into the endowment. It's a very simple number, right? We're adding $8,640 a year. The payout in the current investment that you're using, the dividends and interests and capital gains that it earns are paying out at 7.75% per annum. So it's per year. So this year it's going to give approximately $775 that right now we're just reinvesting, but theoretically the AOBA would have the choice to reinvest that or go ahead and use that for projects at the school. You can see that this number over time very quickly ramps up to a number where you're funding either multiple scholarships or you start to generate a significant monthly cash flow that you can use towards, again, whether it's taking the school private, whether it's more scholarships, whether it's projects, capital expenditure projects at the school. If you want to donate money for whatever it may be. So I know that hearing yet another fundraising attempt or fundraising effort is probably the last thing that you want to hear. But again, I would venture to say that everyone on this call could afford $10 a month. The easiest way to do it is right here. You can literally set up a bill pay on your online banking, set up an account that's a monthly check payable to AOBA, mail it to the Spanos Group or Raymond James at our address in Beaver. We'll deposit the check and mail you a receipt. It's about as simple as it can get. And again, $10 a month directly into the scholarship fund. It's 100% tax deductible. It really has the potential to again, kind of get this account really growing. There was a question where somebody had concerns over, what the account had grown to and where it was at this point. Right now, as of yesterday, the account was at $10,468. That was the growth of the account. Again, right now we're reinvesting the dividends and interest. Obviously, it took a little bit of a hit with the fact that it's invested in the market, and with COVID-19, we saw the entire stock market kind of tumble tumultuously. However, over the last 30 days, I can tell you we've seen a very nice rebound back up over that $10,000 watermark. So we're trending in the right direction. Right now, all of these dividends and interests that we're making, which is this column right here, are just being reinvested. But over time, I think you'll really start to see this kind of take off. So with that being said, I will try and help keep us on schedule. Just take questions, and if there's anything else, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Hello, I've got a quick question. I understand the Federal Reserve also pumped about $2 trillion to stabilize the markets. Could you talk about that briefly?
Yes, so the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve Bank was created by the federal government as a monetary vehicle to help stabilize financial markets and to help mitigate inflation to normalized levels. So what the Federal Reserve did as part of this economic stimulus plan is the Federal Reserve has lowered interest rates and has agreed to buy certain fixed income investments, asset-backed securities and mortgage-backed securities from government-sponsored entities, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, as well as certain treasury bonds, so that certain fixed income markets have a guaranteed buyer. The reason that they're doing that is if there's a guaranteed buyer in fixed income markets, it's going to help drive interest rates down further. It's going to make it cheaper for companies to borrow money. And it's also going to make investing in equities more enticing relative to investing in fixed income from a return potential. So the Federal Reserve, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make credit more available to different companies, to make it easier for companies to get a hold and to utilize money. And at the same time, they're trying to promote equity market investment by providing a guaranteed buyer of certain fixed income securities. Does that answer your question?
It does. Excellent work, and compliments and an excellent presentation as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If there's any other questions or concerns, again, please feel free to pass them along to Aaron or to T. Tommy. Again, I'm gonna try and shut up now to help people get back to the normally scheduled programming. But if anybody has questions or concerns, I can tell in hearing and having been to the conference several years in a row, not the mounting frustration, but the frustration in that you guys are constantly raising money and going to speech day and doing these projects and helping rebuild the infrastructure and feeling like you don't have necessarily a say in things or a voice in things. But I don't have to tell you the easiest way sometimes to get a say in things is with money. So small amounts, a little bit here, a little bit there, added to this account, and I think that you'll really start to see it have a major impact on what you guys have the capacity to do going forward.
This is Godfrey Gazy, and I'm going to take you up on your suggestion to to send $10 a month.
Excellent. That's fantastic. And it looks like in the chat box there is the where checks can be mailed to, how you can do it via PayPal, the Cash App, Zelle, all of these different things.
Yeah, I think I'll send it through my bank, and it says to Spanos Group of Raymond James, correct? And then the address is below.
Yeah, that is our mailing address. Again, you can also send, if you'd prefer to do it and mail it directly to Kofi at his P.O. box, and then they can do it through Wells Fargo and get it over to us. If you want to just send it directly to us, however you'd like to do it, we can certainly help orchestrate.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter with me. You guys can maybe send me a text message or something, or email as to exactly how to do it, and I'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah, Thank you, Dr. Gazy. We'll do that.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do that. You hear from Ed, the treasurer, or Aaron,
Okay.
and Aaron or I.
All right.
Thank you, Scott. That was once again on behalf of all the Santa Clausians. We say a big thank you again for the presentation.
Yes, and next year hopefully we're back doing this again, and we'll have another box of shirts to give away. I know that those are always a big hit.
Yes, we'll hold you to that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Tommy. Good. So we will go back to our regularly scheduled programming. So the next topic would be the financial report. But while Ed gets ready to give us that financial report, I'll have ProPro take us through a little quiz as we take a little break before Ed gives us his report.
Sure. Thank you so much, Senior Aaron. Senior KBS, are you there?
Yes, boss.
Yes, so you can take it from there, and we are ready. And then maybe Scott can stop sharing his screen.
So I think I am sharing. You want me to stop sharing?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. So, Sinake, we can start, yes, with the first quiz. Let's see here. Give me a second.
All right. The whole idea here is that I'm going to try my very best to stump the 60s group that with at least 2 questions to see if they can get it wrong, not to get it right. I'm a teacher. I want to see if they can get it wrong. So that's the whole idea here. So the 60s group, I have 2 or 3 questions for you out of 10 questions that I'm hoping you will get them wrong. And if you do, then it means if you do, I've done my work, and it means Arsenal is still a good team. But if you don't, then that's another story. Okay, question number 1. The school's clock tower was a gift from a contracting company in what country? A, Italy, B, Britain, or C, China? Please don't stay out your answer. Just key in your answer. We want to see how many people get it right. The school's clock tower was a gift from a contracting company in A, Italy, B, Britain, or C, China? We need to move a little fast so that we can keep to time.
Yes.
Okay.
Bro, can you reduce it to 15 seconds?
Well, because majority of the people did not answer on time.
Oh, okay. Actually, the majority of us got it wrong. Majority of us got it wrong. It's A, Italy, and the company's name was Micheletti, and they actually built the school fountain for us too. So let's go to the second question.
Oh God.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm really trying to get the 60s on this one. I had to dig deep for this. The official name of Ejako, an icon of palm wine music, is A, Dr. Ejako Finimo, B, Dr. Samuel Nimakon, or C, Dr. Daniel Amponsa. He was in Elliott House, so.
Over to you, Maze. Again.
I was in Elliott House too.
So what is the official name of Ejako? What is the official name of Ejako, an icon of palm wine music? Is it Dr. Ejako Finimo, Dr. Samuel Nimakon, or Dr. Daniel Amponsa?
Oh God.
Majority of us got it right, Dr. Daniel Amponsa. Ejako Nimo is his stage name.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, number 3. We got 10 to go, so let's do it quickly. The development of Katanga took place in what Jubilee celebration of the school? Was it the Silver Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, or the Diamond Jubilee?
Oh, no, for sure, not the Diamond. I'll say.
Hey, no, don't do that. Keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself.
You can get it wrong all by yourself. That's okay. It's actually the golden 50th anniversary. So I knew a lot of us would say silver. It's golden when the school turned 50 in the 60s. And this one was a gift. This was a gift to the 60s year group. So I'm making up for all my misdemeanors in the first 2 questions. Okay, the fourth question is, the original school ode has how many verses?
Oh, Jesus.
5, 6, or 7? 5, 6, or 7?
This is the one that was written by Wilmot?
Yes, in 1924.
Hey!
5, 6, or 7?
None of the above.
Okay, we ready? Yes, it's 5. Thank you very much. Number 5. 20, majority of us got that right. It's 5. Yeah. Then number 5. Question number 5. Question number 5. In what year did the school become Adesada College? Was it in 1926, 1936, or 1939?
36.
Oh no, you don't have to say it.
Answer
You
it.
don't have to say it. Answer it. You just keep it to yourself because the whole thing is just I want some people to get it wrong.
Alice Ada.
In what year did the school become Adesada College?
Oh.
Yeah, 1936. It was part of the questions we had yesterday, and the head prefect then was Dr. Alexander Atacha Tremantin. In number 6, again, nobody in the system should answer this question.
Oh.
In 1967, the African Scholarship Program of American Universities, ASPAL, offered 11 scholarships to successful candidates. How many of these 11 were Santa Clausians? 6, 9, or 5?
10.
Yeah, 5. Majority of us got it wrong. It's 5.
I got it right.
5 of them got it right.
Can you name them?
Emmanuel Ablo, G.P. Otute, Ebo Richardson, Saban Kwao, and Robert Berfi.
Oh, I see.
How come we didn't get 9?
Because there were a lot of schools. I decided I had the most. Anyway, number 7, the fishes in the school fountain near the chapel are referred to as the blank babies, the Mesa babies, the Awatri babies, or the Nicholas babies.
I'll close my eyes and answer.
If we don't get 100, it's a shame.
The way some of us were punished because of this question.
If we don't get it wrong, it's a shame.
Hey!
So you remember that Alzheimer is now setting into some people.
Hey, what?
That is a shame.
Those of you who got it wrong, you need to go back and take the common entrance.
You got it wrong.
Our 2 babies. And
I lost my Zoom. I don't know what
those were technical errors.
I think it was by a teacher whose son is a mate of Uncle Gazy and the 1965-year group. He was at the function 2 years ago. Dr. Awatri is in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Doctor and Reverend.
Dr. and Reverend. Reverend Dr. Awatri, yes. Okay, number 8.
Senior KS, for some of us, we thought that Awatri represents something else.
I know. There were only 4 women on the. Don't worry. I know. I beg you. I beg you.
Okay.
Can you please tell us?
Mark seems to think that there were 4 women in the fountain. And each one has 2 breasts. So by 2 is 8. So he thought it was 8 breasts. That was more than I was giving. Number 8. The plaque in Canterbury Hall honoring outstanding sportsmen in the school is called the Sports Award Victor's Lodorum or Victor's Arboretum.
Oh, my Zoom is gone.
I have to get 100% on this.
Oh, gosh.
Everybody should get this one.
Senior Bolas.
Yes, it's the
yes.
what?
I mean,
it's the
you got it wrong.
You know, it's Lodorum is Lodus is Latin for games. So Lodorum is of the games. So this is the victors of the games. So it's B, Victor's Lodorum.
Victor's Lodorum.
Yeah. Okay, the last 2 is a gate. So that we can carry on. We can leave. Number 9, the school speech day the school speech and prize giving day is always celebrated on the second Saturday in March, 4 weeks before Easter, or when the Board of Governors decide.
When COVID-19 decides.
Propaganda.
Where's Planet?
For some reason, I can't see my destiny. Okay.
You can't see Planet.
Yes, it's always on the second Saturday.
People got it wrong.
It's
Wow.
always on the second Saturday in March. And then the last but not the least, the headmaster's residence is called the White House, the Hilltop, or Acropolis.
Acropolis. Hey, sorry, they will punish you.
You have to switch it.
I don't have the question on mine.
Where is the question?
It's honest. The questions again.
The question will come. You see, the question will come. That's why we answer. Then I will get problem.
Okay, number 10. The headmaster's residence is called White House, Hilltop, or Acropolis.
This one they will farm me because the question will come. As I hear no answer.
I need a prize though because I think I've answered most of them right.
Oh, fantastic! Yes. What? Who said Hilltop?
if I point them out.
Obviously, some people didn't go to the same school.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
If I point them out.
Acropolis is, the meaning of Acropolis, we all know, is city on the hill. So the headmaster's house is set on the
from
hill.
Pakulo.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
do you want to briefly talk to us about the history of the school ode and why Wilmot wrote it, just like you shared yesterday?
Oh, what I was told is that there was a time that I think his parents wanted him to go to advancement, or they wanted to move him from Adisada to advancement. And in being the rebellious guy, he decided to write the school ode, and I think they gave up on the whole idea. That is what I heard. That's what we were told when we went to Form 1. That's what we were told when we went to Form 1. So if our leaders or our elders in the 60s have a different story, please share with me or share with us, because that is what I know. Jack Wilmot, that's what he did. And I also know that the school fight song was written by Mr. Wudamate, a footballer who came back to teach in the school and needed a song. He thought the school ode was too much it was too holy to be sung around sport meetings. So he came up with the school ode, which is almost like second in magnitude or second in importance to the school ode now, the fight song. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much. And Mark, thanks for putting me to this again this morning. I had to mine for these 10 questions. You owe me Gary and Sardine and no.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you all very much for participating, and thanks for indulging me. Thank you.
No problem, Senior KS. I would definitely pay up. Yeah, don't worry. I'll pay up.
Senior KS, as always, thank you. Very, very informational. It was great last night. It was great today. So thank you as always. With that, we'll call up Ed. By the way, folks, just for transparency, I think we're running about 30 minutes late. So hopefully most of you can hang in with us for the next 30 minutes. We have 2 important sessions and then we're done. So Ed, with that, do you want to give us the financial update, and then Senior Make will talk about robotics after that?
Yes, sir. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much, Senior KS. That was a nice segue into talking about the numbers, right? Because most of the time when we are giving financial presentation, people just go to sleep. So thank you once again, Senior KS, for taking us through that exercise. So as usual, this is the annual financial for AOBA to report on the numbers and how we are doing. It was put together by myself and reviewed by our own very senior George Arthur. Thank you so much. In terms of the summary, what we did over the last year, our overall revenues dropped by 36%, to $16,000, mainly because of fundraising activities, right? Last year, we didn't have a lot of fundraisers, so we kind of dropped there in terms of revenue growth. Our expenditure also dropped by 46%. Why? Because in 2018, we were doing the library, so we spent about $24,000 on the library in 2018, which was completed then. So that kind of saw a drop in our expenditure. Our overall deficit was $300. That was a reduction of the $8,000 that we had in 2018. Our net position dropped by 1%, but we still have a strong balance sheet from a balance sheet perspective. However, we still continue to experience challenges in collecting of pledges and collections. People kind of make those pledges and it's so difficult to get those money. Overall, year over year, our balance sheet dropped by 26%, but we couldn't put money back into the investment fund or the scholarship fund because of the drop in revenues. Our goal was to grow it by $10,000 last year, but we kind of couldn't reach that target. So to what Scott said earlier on, if you can look at it from a small perspective of just putting in $10 and just thinking about the numbers, I think that's a very great idea where we are not burdening ourselves with pledging for large amounts of money, which makes the collection very difficult to do. So $10 a month is reasonable for everybody to kind of help support the goal of growing our scholarship fund to $1 million, which is our ultimate target. All right, what we try to do also is that people like to see it in a pictorial version. So we do have pie charts that talks about the distribution and the uses of our funds. Most of our funds came from the Memorial Weekend activities. Usually what happens is that the Memorial Weekend is so strong that we do get an excess money, right? Surplus into the Memorial Weekend that we use to fund AOBA. Fundraising brought in about $4,000, close to $5,000. And then we had a marginal gain on the investment that Scott took up earlier on. We had about $800 on the investment in the scholarship funds. All right. So this is a nice pie chart that talks about our revenue and our expenses. As you can see, fundraiser is about 17%. What we want to do is to grow this to at least 25 or 30% of our overall revenues. Okay. The next point also talks about a 5-year trend. As you can see, we did pick out around 2017, where we had a huge fundraising success. This was the year that we're doing the $100,000 fundraiser, which was a success. So that fundraiser has been closed. We took care of the library, and then we decided to invest in the scholarship scheme. All right. So if you see where we came from in 2015, there's a steady rise, and then we kind of picked up in 2017, and then it's been kind of stable over the last 2 years. We currently have about 34,000 in our net position, and then this is a graphical view of our revenue and our expenses over the 5-year trend, right? Saying the same story. As you can see, 2017 was our biggest year in terms of revenues and in terms of expenses. All right. Summary. Right now, what we're trying to do is that based on what we've heard so far, we're trying to do projects on campus and the difficulties that we encountered during the library. What we decided as AOBA is to focus more on the human side, which is the scholarship scheme, until at least we get our acts together with regards to maintenance and how we can maintain staff on campus. Our current focus is to grow the scholarship endowment fund. And I think our president mentioned last year that we want to grow it to $1 million and use the returns on those funds to kind of sponsor the students. Currently, we do have 6 students, as president said earlier on, and 1 graduated last year who is currently working at KPMG. I've been following all of them and they're all doing very well. Most of the courses that we have on there with the recipients are business. We have one of them doing medicine. We do have a student, computer science, and environmental science. The good news though is that we only need $1,000 to sponsor 1 student per year. $1,000, right? So in terms of tuition, the breakout is $2,000 go towards tuition, $2,000 go towards residence, and $2,000 for stipend. And then like somebody asked earlier on, at the high school level, they are not paying any school fees. But once they go to the tertiary institution, that's where the brilliant but poor and needy students kind of fall out, right? So they don't have anybody sponsoring them. But this is a smart case that we can support with our widow's mite, right? So on approximation, We need about $6,000 to kind of keep the current scholarship scheme going. Our goal is actually to grow the endowment fund and then use the proceeds from the endowment funds to fund the scholarship. We are not there yet, but we need your help to get us there. So with that being said, I posted this on the chat. These are current payment channels that we use for collections. You can send a check to us via our co-president, Kofi Ansah-Boadu, to this address. We do have a PayPal that you can send your funds to us as well at AOBA-NA. This comes directly to us. We have a bank account at Wells Fargo. You can do an online transfer to us. We do have Venmo and Cash App. One of the major successes that we've had is opening up these various channels to people so people can contribute from wherever they are. This has been a great hit for us. And by the way, because we're a 501c3 organization, your donations are tax deductible. Okay. In terms of the financials, I'm not going to go into the details of what we did in 2019, but we do have a comparison of what went in and went out of accounts, compare year over year. As you can see the difference, we kind of had a drop here due to the fundraising activities that I spoke about earlier on. All right. So what is going on now? As of today, this is where we are from year to date based on our statement of activities. The one thing I also want to point out is our dues. One of the ways that we get money is our dues, right? We do have a model where the year groups that are currently structured, well-structured, pay $500 a year. And then individuals who don't belong to a year group can send in $50 per individual. That has also been helpful. Last year, we had close to $5,000. And we've had dues of about $2,100. 1989 year group, kudos to you. You guys sent in your payment yesterday for $500. And then 1996 also sent theirs. And 1997 sent us $1,100 to pay their arrears from the past all the way through to 2020. We also have individuals who have paid from last year to this year. So kudos to all of you. But like I said earlier on, this helps us support our operations and our day-to-day running of the organization. In terms of the fundraiser, year to date, we've only raised $1,000 this year. This is where we really want to grow and kind of support our investment with Raymond James and look at other investment houses. So far this year, we brought in $1,000. And then we sent out $640 to our scholarship recipients. With the scholarship recipient, I think 3 of them are on a stipend. These are really, really needy students who need help in terms of their day-to-day. So what happened is that there are 2 tranches of disbursement. One happens somewhere around July, where we sent in the actual fees, tuition, and monies for their upkeep. And then the following tranches go out in January, where we send out the stipend, right? So this is the stipend for 2 of the students. So as I speak now, I think within the next month or 2, we'll be paying the tuition for the remaining 5 students. And we're also in talks about bringing people onto the scheme. What we are planning to do is that because of the funding shortages, we are going to keep it at 6 for now, right? So anytime somebody graduates, we just put 1 on, and until we go to a point where we can have enough resources to take on more, then we can expand the program. All right. And then this is our balance sheet as of this morning. Asset side, $37,000. Most of this is coming from our receivables. And like I said earlier on, we'll be reaching out to you, those who have pledged to us, and kind of going aggressive to transfer this into cash so that we can have more money at Raymond James. So we have the list of those outstanding pledges. We are going to divvy it up and then reach out to you and go on an aggressive fundraising campaign this year to make sure that this scholarship scheme is sustainable. Once again, very big thank you to Senior George. He's been very instrumental in helping us put these financials together. Thank you so much. If you need to make any contribution, reach out to myself, Aaron, Kofi Ansah, or Pro so we can keep this scholarship scheme going.
Thank you. So before Ed we leave, right, I'd like to make, Ed talked about 3 sort of funding areas that we need help in. One is the endowment. So I think Scott raised the proposal of $10 a month, right? The second one is on the scholarship, on the actual recipients, right? People who can help sponsor a student. And the last one is dues. I'd like to just take 5 minutes and go through each one of these. So on the $10 a month, could we say we want to get 20 people who will pledge to do $10 a month or 120 a year, right? And Ed, if you could take the names down, I will raise my hand first to say I will pledge for the $10 a month. And we need 19 more people.
You can add me.
Dr. Gazy, right?
Dr. Gazy raised his hand, yes. Kofi,
Yeah, I did pledge before.
yes. Add Kofi. Kofi raised his hand. So we need 17 more.
Can add me?
For how long? $10 a month for how long?
$10 a month for, it's an, we can renew it every year.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely is fine with us, but
let's set manageable targets. Let's say we can do for this year at least.
yeah, for this year we just do it for the first year. We can
But this year it's almost 5 months gone already.
So you can write the check for $50. There's no problem with that to catch up. So it's that's why I said it's $10 a month, 120 for the year.
For the year, okay. So I was asking that because I wanted to be sure that once you lock in, it's not like every year.
No.
Every
It's
year
not for this year.
Okay.
So let's look at this year, and then we'll proceed every year from there.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Senior Kujokran raised his hand.
Okay,
So Ed,
Adam Wakwata.
Add me.
Dr. Mwakwata,
Yes, sir.
Senior Inning,
Yes, Yankee.
Add Leo to it.
Okay.
Leo Writer,
So,
Obiba
what are the
JK
benefits?
himself.
What are the benefits?
Senior George
How do
Arthur
we
raised
pull
his
it?
hand.
I raised my hand as well.
Emmanuel Saki.
Oh. Benjamin Arthur.
Please add me.
Who?
Mr. Kwame Bensiential, chilling quietly.
Yes.
Festus. Festus.
I'm in the meeting.
Benjamin
What
Arthur.
about the year group? I saw an option.
Yeah,
The year group
We're coming
500.
to year groups in a moment. Let's just stick with this.
Hello, did
now.
Afra Wound LLC raise his hand?
Pro.
Afra Wound. Yes, okay. Kwesi, right? Kwesi Ajimai. Then we have who? Pro.
Yeah.
Frank Apple. Senior Frank Apple. Hey, I'm on the phone, please. Okay. Be with you in a moment.
Yeah, you can add me.
Who? Ishmael.
Yeah.
I know it's voluntary, right? But just like you guys said earlier on that people make pledges and they don't follow through. How are we going to make sure that these pledges are not just pledges?
So Ed is taking down the list. This is something that we've talked about actually before the Congress. We are going to be very structured about the follow-ups on this.
So far,
add management.
Yeah, I got you. So I've got Dr. Gazy, Senior Aaron, Senior Kofi, Senior Kujokran, Dr. Makwata, Leo Writer, Mr. Enin, George Arthur, Benjamin Arthur, Bentilencho, Festus Segbawu, Siajimai, Pro, Frank Apple, Ishmael Minta, and Nana Jiman.
Okay,
So
for me personally, I want to set this up through my bank so that it will be a bank transfer every month, because I'm at the age where my memory goes. So sometimes I might forget. So if I set it up this way,
we'll help you set it up.
If I set it up, well, I can set it up through my bank as long as I know which address to send it to. And then once that is done, I don't care forever.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you. Yeah, appreciate it. Ed, no,
yes.
David, one moment. Ed, Sam Dadson raised his hand. He sent a message.
Sam who?
Sam Dadson, Dadson.
Okay. So we got
All right, Edward, this is McKay. I just sent you the 110 already to Zale.
Wow. All right.
Ed,
Now,
I didn't hear my
talk
name.
about Efficiency.
Senior McKay, it's 120. Why 110?
It's not the end of the year
Senior
yet.
McKay.
I'll defend him on that.
Senior McKay, why? Senior McKay, why?
It was a mistime. It was a mistime. I'll add a $10 to it. Are you happy now?
Yes, please.
Did I hear from you?
I mean, also to commission if you do.
The arithmetic was bad.
Oh God.
Ed,
Yes.
I didn't hear my name. Add me on there.
Oh, Sinati Tommy. Okay.
Ed, I didn't hear my name.
Hey, Sparrow, add me too.
Who?
And please, if we can go beyond 20, let's do it. Don't just reach 20. And I know some people that are listening for us to get to 20. If we get to 20, let's make it 24. Every single dollar helps.
Can I make a suggestion though? Because I know not everybody is on this call. Can we, at the end of the Congress, also put it on the main platform for those who might want to contribute?
Yes,
of course.
Absolutely, yes.
That's a good idea.
Hey, Tommy, I just
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tommy, I just added a 10. So 120 is done. Leave me
Okay,
alone.
I know. I'm waiting for confirmation from Ed first. I'm not gonna get sucked into this. Hey, and please, we shouldn't just put it on the platform. If you know somebody else, if you know somebody that was not on the call, please call them and appeal to them. Sometimes our phone calls have a greater impact than what is put on WhatsApp. So please reach out to other people.
Okay. Emmanuel Saki, Emmanuel Saki pledged as well. And then Yao Ado pledged as well.
I just sent $120 through Cash App.
Excellent.
Oh, Kofi Apple, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Aaron, it seems you guys don't like mine. You don't want to mention my name.
No,
pledges are my bread.
Don't you have Obiba JK?
David, I'm going to mention your name. David Yanka Obiba JK.
You forgot the doctor.
Oh, Dr. Obiba JK.
From CDC.
And then
And for the record, that's my fag master. Don't mess with him.
Olas pledged as well.
Yeah.
All right. So
and then Ebenezer, I don't know which Ebenezer this is, but Ebenezer sent 120 to Zelle as well. So add that.
Is it Afarikuma or Apia?
That's what I'm not sure. It just says Ebenezer. So did you get Emmanuel Saki?
Yes, I did. So should I go through the names so we can see who we got?
Yes.
Aaron, I can't see the Zelle account here.
Yeah, I don't see the Zelle account. Is there?
Ed
use
puts the Zelle.
Use the phone number. Use the phone number. 301.
Put it there, please. Some of us don't know numbers.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
I beg you. I pay from January to May. I mean, they say by June, then everybody dies. So I will give across June. Continue the June. So I pay from January to May.
Oh my God!
That's a good one. Thank you.
Oh, see that? If it's over 5 messages, show me. They say the rest after June, there. The war will continue.
Joe Hackman, I pay my $120 right now. Pay your own.
See that? Let me say I don't go pay. I said they say by June, dear. We won't look after June.
No, that be gonna matter. We will there here. It's Chinese for information. I just pay my $120.
Who is there? Who is that?
Ebenezer Quay. The Ebenezer we had was Ebenezer Quay. So just capture it.
Adrian, just add my name to it.
Who?
So who's monitoring the raising of hands?
I'm monitoring Mr. Matthew. So
Raise the last 10 minutes.
So
yes.
This is Ebenezer Quay from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Add my name to it, Pastor Simon.
AKA Ancho. Yeah, Ancho, I'm in the process of sending my 120. So just acknowledge it when you get it. Thank you.
Hey, Senior Titopi send it to True Cash App. Sure. I'll pop you up.
All right. By the way, I do have an outstanding pledge for $500. That's why I haven't pledged. So I need to take care of that first before I can take care of it.
Why I see this one?
That's okay. That's okay. Some of these guys do a lot behind the scenes, so let's give him a break. I know he'll definitely come through.
By the way,
So,
in that
can you
presentation,
please post the phone number for the Zelle?
I posted it.
It's already there in the chat.
In the chat.
Okay, thanks.
301
People like
996
can you update
6926.
Like, that would be better.
Obiba JK. Obiba
Yes.
JK, I heard my name. What have I do?
I saw you sent money through Cash App.
Right.
Oh, not me?
Senior Titomi, I saw you send money through Cash App.
Hey, then it was a mistake, oh.
Just to be clear on this, these contributions are going straight to the endowment fund. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Senior Twahini, please add my name, Samuel Toto, T-Blaze.
Hey, T-Blaze.
Hey,
yes,
T-Blaze.
Yes,
the Ohio people, they be keke.
Hello.
So,
we are trying.
Hello. Can anyone
hello,
hear?
yes, Senior Majib, yep.
I have raised my hands. It's been 10 minutes. Nobody has said a word.
Oh, I acknowledged you, Senior Majib.
The comment I want to make is that the example the gentleman from Raymond James said was, if we made a minimum of $10, if we made a minimum of $10, see what it can do. So those of you who can do more, please don't hesitate. That $10 was a minimum.
Yes, sir.
I second that. I know you can do more.
Yes, sir. We will. We are working our way, you know.
Senior Mark. Senior Mark.
Yes.
No. For 120, can we match you 50?
What's the Equantin Bia was starting with the Nkakranka inti ya start yazi. Yeah, you both do.
We did raise a very good point. I think 2 years ago at the Congress, if we are looking to raise $1 million towards these funds, I think Senior Majud brought that point 2 years ago. What we can do is look at our 401ks, our life insurance policies, and kind of, if you can, right, maybe 5% of that, 1% of that, 50 basis point, anything that you can do, life insurance policies, 401k, so that we can keep this fund going. I think it's a very important point to grow if we want to get to $1 million eventually.
Okay, Aaron, whilst
okay,
Edward is tabulating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So while Ed is tabulating, to get us going forward, right? There's two other things. Just I'll put the call out again. Dues, it's $500 for a year group. If your year group isn't organized enough, it's $50. Ed will be hounding people after this. I use hound in a very friendly way. So we look forward to that. And then the last thing is on the scholarship pledges. If you move to support a child, right, any of these students, it's $1,000 a year. If you think you can commit to that, let us know. We'll put the messages out on the platforms. It's and a group of people can support a student, right? 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, whatever works for you, right? But the idea is, if you say we're going to support a student, we'll contribute $1,000 a year to support the student. So, but firstly, thank you. Ed will add the numbers, but I think we probably got close to 30 people so pledging for the 120 a year. So that's a great start. So with that, why don't I hand it off to Senior McKay to give us an update on the robotics effort.
Aaron, I have a question for Ed. Can I?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Ed,
Ed, are you there? Yes, the 68th group, I think we want to know the status of our annual dues. I think last year we made payments for the year and then the subsequent year. So can you check that for us, please?
Sure.
Super.
Aaron,
CMK.
go ahead while I check.
Yeah, CMK, over to you.
Oh, excuse me. The Zelle, is it the mobile number?
See my screen?
Sorry, Ben, what was the question again?
It says the Zelle reads that the mobile number you sent belongs to Edward.
Yes, it goes to Ed Swahini.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And Ed, please add Senior Robert Nuno to the pledges, please.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. I probably need to stop sharing, right? Or no, Ed, you need to stop sharing.
And how do you do that? Okay.
Just in the panel. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. CMK is on now.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
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 Okay. So thank you all. I think also this is a good segue from one of the statements that Ed made, that we are, most of our investments in the school has been in infrastructure. And as you can tell, we're having some difficulties in that department in terms of maintenance. One of the things we've also discussed is also an investment in the students. And the scholarship scheme is one of those, and other projects that we've done in the school for the last couple of years. So we've been talking about another program, or what we would think is an umbrella program to cover all the student-related development efforts that we've been thinking about, which is basically investing into the students themselves. Of course, everything we put on that campus belongs to the Ministry of Education. However, if we educate our students, I guess we are investing in their minds, and hopefully they will leave our disco and do the same. So we have this thing we call nurturing the 21st century students. That it's a program under development, but we'll share some components of it. The idea, basically, we have these three major goals that we would like to work on, but it's just a program to prepare our students for the 21st century with appropriate skills to be able to thrive in the global workforce. And then the goals are based on helping them in Ghana locally, and also providing services to them, across the curriculum with creative arts, visual arts, music, things of that nature. With music, some of our seniors here presented some musical instruments to them last year. And as you can tell, we saw their performance. There are some of our seniors here. I don't know if Dr. Ebo Richardson is online, who are very keen in that, in helping both the Saddle music scene. So the 21st century student program that we're talking about includes the following: design thinking workshops. We had one 2 years ago. We are planning next year's. We want to talk about the robotics club, which is going to be the focus of today. We have programs like alumni and residence program, something akin to TED Talks, educational, performing arts, public speaking, critical thinking, and things of that nature. We're going to have a session between now, maybe next month, a whole discussion on this topic that might include other schools, folks from Infrancipim and St. Augustine's, to see how we can collaboratively work on these programs in Ghana for our alma mater. But I want to focus on the robotics club. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but Adisada College has a robotics club. And then this year they did us proud. And then the club was started in 2017 on the campus. I didn't even know, even I'd been on the campus several times, had no idea that we had a club. So last year or 2 years ago, the girls from my secondary school went to the World Robotics Competition and then they won, and that caught my attention. So I started doing some investigation to figure out how the girls from Amphi were able to do this. But I'll come back to that. In 2018, the Disco Boys placed second in a national scrap competition. In 2018, they placed first in the regional computer science competition, but they couldn't go to the nationals due to lack of funding. The club has close to 100 plus students, and the others are fighting to get in there. And then when I went to the school and I visited the lady who was handling the club, and also in discussions with the gentleman who teaches them, this is how they describe the boys. They're competitive, they're energetic, and they're an enthusiastic bunch. And why did they say that? These guys, because they missed the 2018 edition of the national competition, and they saw these young ladies go to that win and represent Ghana in the global competition, were kind of, for lack of better words, pissed. So when they had that opportunity to regroup again, they were doing all they can to make sure that they will be competitive. And then what were they doing? For example, they go to the lab and the lab's supposed to close at 9 p.m. They don't want to leave. When the patron goes down to shut down the place, they tell her, you know what, if you are afraid of walking through the dark, you sit down, we walk you home. So they will stay in the lab sometimes to 10 p.m., 10:30, 11 p.m., and they will walk this lady home. This lady in question, her name is Rosemary Baden. She's a computer science teacher and is taking on the role of leading the robotics club with a gentleman who is also a computer science teacher. And then they are basically holding the fort. They have 2 robotics kits and no laptops to support them. And so of course, they are restricted to the computer science lab. That's where the software is installed. That's where they get to practice. And a couple of the students do have laptops. So every now and then they're able to take their creations, if you will, to the Canterbury Hall, to the dining hall to show to the other students. So last year, in the summer of last year, I heard that this gentleman who was teaching the students was in New York, and I reached out to him to try to see how best we can help a Disco Robotics Club. And he already told me that one of my seniors had already beaten him to it. So I said, who? So he gave me the number, and then lo and behold, it was our own senior KS, Kabran Sapon, and another senior who doesn't want to, whose name to be put out there. So he decided to donate a kit, because they had 1 kit at that time. He donated a kit to what the school had. So I visited in the summer, and then in conversations with them, figured out, these guys need some help and they need some boost. So I spoke to the Center Foundation, and then my senior KS, Edward, Dr. Bayfi, and Uncle Godfrey, we decided that the Center Foundation will adopt the club and support them as best as we can. So we have this gentleman who lives in Ibri, and every Saturday he drives down to Cape Coast to teach the boys. He's been doing this since the summer of 2019, all through this year. He goes, spends the day, teaches them, comes back to Accra. When he can't make it, he sends some of his students to go. So when I went last year, we knew they were preparing for a competition. So this January, I was in Ghana. And in speaking to him, he told me that they needed some expansion kits to prepare for the national competition. And so, okay, so that the cost of $400 that we gave him to buy the kits and then take to the school. So fast forward, they needed to register for the competition, and we found out that to register for the competition was $500 a team. So we're trying to get the patron to submit 1 team. But then she said she couldn't, because there was so much competition among the boys themselves to see which team will represent at the Sada College that they were forced to take 2 teams at the cost of 500 each. So we were thinking of ways to, I guess, get them to pay the 500 for the registration. So I asked the patron to reach out to the parents of the students to ensure they can contribute. So we're thinking that, if each student could even contribute $100, 100 cedis, we could then supplement it. But unfortunately, trying to get 100 students per student was quite a challenge. Some were able to pay the 100, others paid about 20 cedis each. So they basically couldn't raise the money, that's one. And two, whatever money that they raised was spent on hotel. They had to buy a bus for the school, fuel for the school bus and all of that. When they went to Accra, she had to feed them, get them hotels and all of that. So whatever money they raised was spent on those expenses. However, we knew going to the competition, I was keeping tabs on them, and the gentleman told me that he knew they would do very well. But since they were first-time entrants, if they came in second, that would be good. But as you can see, and if you've heard, our boys went into that competition with that decided spirit. They went there making sure that they were going to emerge winners. And they came first place in the games competition and second in the projects competition as first-time entrants. I think that speaks volume. These guys went there knowing that they wanted to leave with a trophy, and they did. So I think this is where we give the boys a round of applause, even though they're not here. I think they deserve a round of applause for going to this competition at first-time entrance and doing so well for the school. So let's just give them a round of applause. So as first place and second place winners, they had the opportunity to represent Ghana at an international competition to be held in Greece. But of course, due to C-19, that competition has been postponed indefinitely. We don't know if they'll have the opportunity to go back again next year. So with everything that's in Ghana, it takes somebody to take ownership of it, right? We have people who say they are responsible for these things, but I'm not a very big fan when we say people are responsible for stuff. I prefer the ownership kind of management, because when you own something, your attention to it is a bit different from when you are responsible for it. Others might disagree. So if we are going to do anything for these boys in terms of the robotic competition, and under the whole umbrella of the 21st century students, we have to do a lot of things. What we heard from 1976 year group about putting this e-learning center, falls right into that. That's it's going to be a big factor, a big pillar in what is that we do. So when I came back, or when we heard the boys had won, I reached out to them again and then found out that for 100 boys, 100 plus students, those two kids were not enough. And so a lot of them find themselves standing, watching others as they build the robots. And so I decided that we could do a quick fundraising to get them 2 extra kits and 2 laptops, and I'm trying to raise $3,000 of whatever it is there. The Southern Foundation will chip in and make it whole. So I wanted to reach out to 60 of us to make a $50 contribution each, and we have 1850 pledged today. Of that, we've received 1,700, and we have 1,300 to go. Just because we just want to get them the 2 additional kits and 2 laptops, just to ensure that they can expand the numbers of students who want to belong to the robotics club, which is a good thing, but at the same time it's a problem, because the lady who's running the program, being the teacher on campus, finds it difficult to turn other students away. But at the same time, if it's open to everybody, we don't know, whether some of these kids are going to be as serious as others, and we don't want the non-serious ones to disturb those who are serious. So this year, the plan, we've been talking behind the scenes to help come up with some criteria to select the students, and then figure out what limits, on the numbers. And also we're going to partner with the school because this certainly, if it doesn't fall squarely within the ICT curriculum, it complements it or provides another avenue for the students to explore their creativity. And also to let them understand, right? So over there, because it is about robotics, there's a tendency to push this into the way of the science students only. And to let them understand that robotics is not just for the science students, but it should include the art students, the business students, all the students, because if left to the science students alone, I'm sure they'll build something to be quite ugly. They'll need the art students to bring their creativity into this to ensure that whatever they build, if it's functional, must also be appealing to the eyes as well. And then to the business students, those studying the business, as they look at this, to figure out the applications of whatever it is they are building. So we're going to have those discussions with the school authorities. Then it comes back to our usual finance and support. For this to succeed, we have to either continue paying this gentleman who travels from Accra to Cape Coast to train the students, and that will require money. I know there are folks, some of us here who are engineers, we are, all kind of fields, who can certainly provide some support. So we would like to appeal to you guys to make yourselves available so that we can use your expertise to supplement what this gentleman is doing in Ghana. And then we need volunteers to help. It could just be when you go to Ghana for your vacation, you take a day or two, visit the school. We arrange beforehand before you get there. Spend some time with the boys. If you are in any field close to this, or even not, just spend some time with them. Talk to them about robotics as best as you can, as best as you know, and then help. Right. This is also fall into this discussion about the alumni and residence program and the TED style talk. But I can tell you, when I spend some time with the boys speaking to them about robotics and the possibilities of artificial intelligence and machine learning and all those things, you should see the spark in their eyes. I mean, these guys were gung-ho and they were asking for more. So this is the updates on the robotics club. I will stop here and see if folks have questions. I did spend some time with the girls from my secondary school as well. And then, boy, these girls are just performing wonders. If you speak to them, once again, about robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, they are way out there and all they need is help. It goes without saying that we have a bunch of intelligent chaps back home. What they need is direction and our support. So I'll stop here and see if folks have any questions.
Okay, so it sounds like basically you have 1,300 to go. That's the plan, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess 1,250 at this point. What about on part of your 1,850 or part of your 3,000 is two laptops or one laptop?
Two.
So I mean, the other option is if somebody is willing to donate a laptop to here, is that an option? Is that?
Oh yeah, certainly. We'll take it. We'll take a laptop. Certainly will go a long way because, like I said, the idea is to take this thing out of the labs, right? Because when they congregate in the labs, they have to use those desktops, and they can't. The student body cannot see what they do. But how they have the laptops, they're able to take this out of the computer lab into the dining hall or Canterbury Hall. Then they're able to showcase their work, and then I'm sure through that they get other students interested, and then get them to join. But then that is the more students who join, that means the more equipment. So they got to figure out a way to rotate going into the lab, and then I guess building the robots and doing the things that they have to do.
Quick question. So what happens to the laptops when the students graduate? Do they go along with them or they leave them with the club?
Oh, the laptops stay. They're gonna be the properties of the club. So the laptops they are using now belong to the students. So when they graduate, they'll take away with them. But if we have laptops for them, they'll stay with the school, and they'll go with Mrs. Baden, who is a computer science teacher on campus.
Senior Mark.
Yes.
We got two updates from the chat. Dr. Gazy just gave $50 for the robotic kits. Dr. Godfrey Gazy.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I pledged it, so you guys can help me send it to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you,
so
sir.
much. And then Jojo, I believe that is Senior Kojo Kran. He's got a question. He says, what's the background of the teacher from Iburi? What's his background or her background?
So this is a guy who took an interest in robotics, and he's been, I think he's a product of tech. He learned this on his own, and he's made it his business to introduce this to the schools. So that's what he does. And he's been, traveling all over the place, brought the girls to the US for their program. I know he comes here quite a bit. I know those students from Manfi were even invited to the National Black Engineers Conference in Houston this year, but they couldn't make it. In addition, I know he was in Israel last year. There's a company called Intellitech that the government of Ghana is partnering with to build STEM centers across the country. And so he works with them as well. He's supposed to be the, I'll say, a relationship manager to interact with the schools to help with the teaching of this. But the problem is that if these STEM centers are built, that means that people have to travel to those centers to be able to engage or to use whatever machinery or equipment they're going to have there. And I know it's in the program. I've not seen any of the structures break ground yet, so I don't know when it will be complete. But this gentleman is that's what he does. He travels all over the place teaching the students, and I can say his track record is pretty good right now. First, taking the girls from Manfi. If you see where these girls train and the laptops that they use, some of them are just hanging on just by a thread. And then they were able to win nationally and come to the world competition and win. That tells you that we have some brilliant chaps.
All right, we do have about 8 minutes to go. So I do have one update from the chat room. Senior Frank Apple gave you pledged $100 towards the robotic kits. Frank Apple, thank you so much for your donation or your pledge. And then my question to you is, how do we leverage this case to solve some of the problems that we have on campus? How do we leverage that, bring it back home to solve some of the issues that we're having on campus? We do have issues in sanitation and other areas. So we are putting money into them. So we need to make sure that we are getting benefits on campus as well as all these competitions that they are involved in.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the response to that, I would say, is one that will come from the design thinking workshops that we are going to have with the students, right? Because for the design thinking workshops, what we ask the students to do is to look around this campus and come up with problems that they see that they would like to see solved. When we had the last edition of the design thinking workshop, unfortunately, our boys wanted to beautify the campus. That was the project that they wanted to do. And we didn't want to influence them because that is what they said they wanted to do. Wesley girls said they wanted to address the sanitation on their campus, and boy, have they done it. It also depends on who the teacher assigned to the students is. Our teacher who was assigned to the students, I must say, wasn't that interested in the program. He comes, drops the students, and takes off. The teacher from Wesley Girls comes with the students, stays with them from the beginning to the end. Long story short, everything that the girls said they were going to do, they did, which is they went back to the school, they started collecting recyclables, they cleaned where they put the dustbin, they reached out to some old girls who brought work with the company to come and put a container there. They collect all the trash, they put in the container. Remnants from the dining hall is used for the school garden and things of that nature. So it can be done, right? Once again, it takes leadership and ownership, which I think we lacked where we did it. So yes, there are problems with the school. Can we get the students to help in solving them? Yes, but once again, it will take leadership and ownership, which we need to find on the campus, because if not, we will not be able to do that.
Great. Thank you, CMAK. I think in the interest of time, we have 5 minutes left, so we should.
All right.
I have a quick question, please.
Sure.
All right.
Mark, the robotics donation, where do we send it?
We'll give you the notice as well.
Okay.
I don't know if Senior KS is on there. We'll certainly send it to you. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Leo, by the way, can you guys see my page now?
Yes.
Okay. So Leo, why don't you wrap us up here? One of the first things Leo will do is talk us through the upcoming schedule of info sessions that we'll be hosting through the summer. So Leo, if you can walk us through that and do the vote of thanks, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay. So thanks so much, first of all, to everyone for tuning in and also sticking around to this point. I know it's taking forever, and I mean, it's a Saturday holiday weekend for that matter. Even though we're not going anywhere, I know we have families to, attend to. So I'll wrap this up quick. So as far as the announcements go, for those of you who have taken part in our informational sessions, we're going to keep this up. I mean, the reception we've received so far is encouraging. Every time we've done it, people have tuned in and the questions have been insightful. The talks themselves have been very helpful and insightful, at least based on the feedback that we've gotten so far. So we are going to do more, first of all, to help everybody out and also to keep folks engaged, especially during this weird period where people are stuck at home and with all kinds of crazy things going on. So the first thing we have, at least for the month of June, we have one that's already been set up. We just have to confirm the date. So just be on the lookout for all those who are on the different platforms. You're gonna definitely get a notification. And if you're not, please try. There are so many different platforms or WhatsApp groups for Adesado Old Boys. Try and at least get on one of those, your year group or the main one, so that you can get some of these announcements. The first one for the month of June, we'll be talking about managing your career in the COVID era. We know people have lost jobs and some have been furloughed. Hopefully none of us, but I mean, this is the reality that we're dealing with right now. So we're bringing in a panel of HR experts to talk to us about jobs. I mean, at this point, for those who want to change careers, those who unfortunately have lost theirs and things of that nature. And then for the month of July, we're also going to have another one that's pharmacy-based. We just named it Understanding Your Drugs. And basically, we're going to dwell more on affordability, generic versus brand names and things of that nature, and then also leave it up to people to ask questions that they have concerning their medications and things like that. I think that will be very exciting. So please be on the lookout for that. For that, Senior Shabu, the head pro, and myself will pretty much host that talk. And then we have one about starting a small business, or if you own one already, some tips that you can use to make it more successful. And then we're going to have another one about immigration in September. So far, these are the topics that we have lined up, at least one every month. But it's not necessarily one per month. We're going to do them as many times as possible. And on that note, I would really like to appeal to everybody. Please reach out for topics that you're interested in, things that you would like to see discussed and stuff like that. We actually have a lot of experts among us. Adisco has produced a lot of people in so many different fields that you would be amazed, like the kinds of help that's available to us that we're not really taking advantage of. So please reach out to me, reach out to any of the executives, even if you don't know any of the leaders, just reach out to anyone who stays engaged on all these platforms, and they will get your message across. Any topic that you're interested in us covering, please do not hesitate to let us know. We're doing it for us, and I hope we're able to meet everybody at their point of need. So with that, I'll wrap up, and on behalf of the leadership of the North American chapter of Adisado Old Boys Association, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us. We want to thank you, Scott and Senior T. Tommy. You guys have been amazing. Every year, you go out of your way not only to sponsor, but also to take part in our Congress, give us all kinds of talks and stuff like that. We really appreciate you. To everyone who took the time to tune in, everybody who, spent, whether you stayed the whole time or you just joined in or whatever, we just want to let you know that we really appreciate you. These are things that if people don't tune in, it's pretty much pointless. It's kind of hard to pull off without anybody participating. So thank you very much. God bless you. And with that, I guess we'll bring our Congress to an end. Yeah, Bujay, do you have any more announcements? Or with that, we'll call for the opening, for the closing prayer, and then we'll wrap this up.
I think we're good. Just to echo your thanks, I think really appreciate everybody. At the peak, I think we had about 72 people, which is a really good turnout for us. Also want to thank ProPro for hosting us, Senior McKay for, he does a lot, so I'm not going to go into all the specifics, but Senior McKay has been big. Senior KS for all the historical lessons and bringing the fun to the Congress, and to, everybody else who chipped in to help us, and everybody else. So thank you all, and look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thank you all.
The closing prayer by Manny.
Reverend Messer, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's our question. And it's our question.
Where's Reverend Pelele?
He's here. He's got to unmute. Pro, can you unmute him?
I'm trying to locate him.
Manny Pacquiao.
Money.
So for now, you
I can't. Okay, hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Question I couldn't hear. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
On your marks.
Okay. Set. Go. Let us pray. Gracious and merciful God, we thank you for the blessings of life, for the joy of fellowship. We thank you for the abundant blessings that you've poured upon us. We bless you for our time together, and we commend all that we have discussed and decisions that we have made into your care. Gracious God, we pray that you will pour your abundant blessings upon these decisions. Grant us the strength, the courage, and the resolve to pursue these decisions and make them a reality. We also thank you for our individual lives, the gifts that you have given to us, the gift of friendship, of family, and above all, the gift of love. We pray and ask that you may bless us wherever we are. Grant us the spirit to continually love the school that nurtured us, and bless us with a life that we can be proud of. Bless the school also. Bless those who study and those who manage the school, headmaster, the teachers, the kitchen staff, and bless the students. May they also enjoy the benefits of the blessings that you have poured upon us and you continually pour upon us. Even as we conclude our time together, we pray and commend ourselves into your care. May you continue to uphold us with your love, strengthen us with your compassion, and embrace us with your love. This is our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
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 Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Are we singing the school ode?
Yes. It doesn't work. Last night we tried and it just doesn't work virtually. So
Hey,
Propro will play
Senior
some
Park,
songs.
what time is the
Propro,
dinner
play.
tonight? What time is the dinner tonight?
your own virtual time, Senior Tito.
Senior Ernest,
Yes.
I've sent
7
you the information in
p.m.
the chat.
Okay.
The 68 information in the chat group.
All right.
And then we also have Senior Charles Dixon, his people. And then
Polars.
Propro, where's my song?
Thank you, Senior Charles.
Propro, where's my song?
It's coming.
And then Dr. Edu wants to connect with the person responsible for landscaping on campus. All right.
Okay, we will.
You want to show us a choir or something?
That's the original Prime Minister.
No boogies tonight. Oh my
Pro
God.
my song. Pro my song.
The song is coming. Oh. I have so many things open on my screen.
I haven't seen your hair grow like this before.
Yeah, what's up? You good?
My Baba check.
You see your Baba chair, I see. They see that. Oh.
Them say one stylist affects 92 people with COVID right now.
Wow.
Yeah. On CNN, one stylist, 10 stylists affected 92 people.
For what state?
I think it was on the homepage.
How about state?
CNN. 91.
And in your state,
Yeah. The hairstyle exposes 91 people to COVID. And your president is playing golf, man.
Yeah.
Hold us, we for link up for you. Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
We have a connect at 5 o'clock, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have a guest, so it's gonna be fun.
Nice.
Time to get a student too. So.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.